Welcome to the Project with Sam and Lewis, the podcast that looks at projects throughout pop culture and history. I'm Sam.
And I'm Lewis.
And on today's episode, we are talking about Project X, the film from 2012.
Yeah, it's a bit of a party film.
Yeah, a bit of a wild one today.
But maybe we should have recorded this like in a party.
I know, yeah, I was thinking that we should have got lit before, as they say. Yeah. Although I think that's actually that's lingo from since 2012, isn't it? So
yeah, it's a bit dated.
Yeah. But before that, how are you today, Lewis?
Yeah, not bad. It is what it is. Picked up another injury, as
you said.
Showed you. Got
sports injury this time.
Yeah,
though, so that's
it's that really dodgy like plastic grass that
as
soon as you hit the ground, it just rips all the skin off.
Like a cheese grater.
Yeah, I've got a lovely scab on my knee at the moment. But apart from that,
yeah, you're doing all right.
All fine.
Good.
Fine. Yourself?
Yeah, not too bad. Yeah, I had a busy-ish week so far, but yeah, not too bad. It's incredibly hot as we're recording, isn't it? We're in a bit of a heat wave in this part of the country. I don't know. I imagine the world in a lot of places.
Yeah. But, yesterday I literally just had a cold shower because I was just like sitting on my sofa, just like sweating. I was like, I can't take this anymore.
I think I had 3 showers yesterday. I went to get a haircut, and the guy was like, "Oh, you're gonna." It was a bit weird. He was like, "You're going to have a shower afterwards." I was like, "What are you trying to say?" He was like, "Because I could like put product in your hair." And I was like, "Oh no, I probably won't." And then I got back, like did some stuff around the house, and I was like, "Yeah, I'm definitely going to shower." So I had to just wash it all out.
I've seen like you just do like I kind of went around. I did some kitchen bits, put some clothes away, and then after that I was just like, and I'm sweaty.
Yeah, it doesn't take much. Our buildings in England aren't made for the summer at all, are they? Unless you've got a good fan, which we have got in here, but unfortunately we turn it off while we're recording.
Yeah, because it's too loud.
It's a bit loud, but
we both got living rooms that face the sun as well.
Yeah,
so like during the day, it's just not fun.
Not ideal, but so yeah, if we're a little bit mad today, it might be the heat speaking, but before we get into the main topic, we've got some project news, Lewis.
Yeah, so as usual, I've Googled just the word project, see what news is about. The first one is Google's Project Hug paid out huge sums to keep game devs in the Play Store.
Right,
Epic filing claims. Basically, it comes from when Fortnite was launched for Android in 2018.
Okay.
Epic Games took the unusual step of exclusively releasing it outside of the Google Play Store.
Because vaguely familiar.
All money from the Google Play Store earned by the devs, 30% of it goes to Google.
So they take quite a big cut. Yeah.
So they took a big cut of it. So Google launched Project Hug, which basically like incentivized people to
bringing them back into the fold. Yeah, big corporate hug.
Yeah, because nothing's friendlier than a giant corporation
like Google. Yeah,
but yeah. So they basically paid people to go for the Play Store.
That's reminded me. I'm pretty sure the charity work for Amazon is Smile. So it's very much along the same lines.
Oh yeah, it is actually.
It's like we're a friendly corporation. We're not sinister at all.
Yeah, I had a text come through the other day saying in the last year I've donated like £26 for Amazon Smile.
I think I had the same thing, which just goes to show how much we buy from Amazon.
I know. I was like, I can't remember what percentage is.
It's not much at all.
Yeah,
I think it's pennies normally.
Yeah.
So yeah, that.
It adds up.
Yeah, it does.
But yeah, so Epic have basically made a complaint about Google, like keeping hold of all these like amateur devs and stopping them making money.
Right.
Basically, it just kind of seems like shady big corporation stuff.
Yeah. Pretty standard in this day and age, unfortunately.
Yeah, like it just is what it is. Like you kind of never surprised with these sort of things anymore.
No, sadly no. But so what are they? So Project Hug is to get them back on
yeah.
board.
So apparently it was like a secret project by Google. Well, I imagine they'd still be making money, but it's like paying devs to release on the Play Store, but then they'd get popular and they wouldn't make as much money as they would have.
Right.
But they can cut the ones that like the 1 in 1,000 that is successful.
Yeah,
will earn Google the money to pay for like the rest.
I see what you mean. Yeah. I mean, the thing is with Epic, I think it's sometime after Fortnite, probably. So a similar thing. They took a load of their games off Steam, which is one of the biggest PC gaming kind of libraries.
So I remember when
they've got the Epic Game Store.
Yeah, Rocket League was free through the Epic Games thing.
That's
so
right,
I got Epic Games just to get Rocket League.
Yeah,
for free.
well, the thing is with Epic Game Store, if you follow any kind of games journalism, I think it's every month there's a free game to keep, which is a bit like the PlayStation Plus or the Xbox Game Pass. So if you sign up, I don't think you have to pay anything. You just, as long as you download it in that 30 days or 31 days, you get to keep it forever.
That's
which is like
good.
a really good incentive to get people on board with the,
it's all about these
different
incentives,
platforms.
isn't it?
Absolutely, yeah.
Like it says that Epic's complaint from this came, they eventually did put Fortnite on the Play Store in April 2020, but then it was removed by Google because the in-app fees weren't paying the 30% to Google. It was just going straight to Epic.
Right.
So
so they found a loophole, basically.
Yeah, they were like, oh, okay, well, we'll do it for you because we've got this loophole. And then Google found out and kicked them off again.
Fortnite is such a big moneymaker in so many ways.
Yeah.
And all those customizable items. I mean, I followed them on Facebook at some point. I'm not sure why. I think I never actually played it. I think it was when it was in development. It looked quite interesting.
Yeah.
Whatever it was. Almost every week, couple of weeks, there's some new thing, tie-ins, Marvel,
like the skins and stuff.
They're like so popular, and I don't know how much they actually cost, but even if they're only a couple of pounds, or like 10
I think I saw a thing. It might have been like the Mandalorian or something, and it was like some kids, someone dressed up as like Boba Fett for a Comic Con or something, and someone's like, oh my god, it's the guy from Fortnite. It's like, no.
Well, that's the thing, like it's like a Ready Player One or something at this point. Where like if you're in it, there's just and also it's interesting because they do have DC and Marvel things, which is quite rare.
Quite rare,
well, Disney and all that sort of thing. Anyway, bit of interesting news.
Yeah, so the other one I've got, just two for this week, is X-Men Project by Jonathan Hickman and Declan Shalvey.
Yeah.
Teased by Marvel.
You know what? I did see this because I follow Marvel on Instagram and I saw this. And I don't know if it was mentioned as project in that. But have you got any information about that?
Yeah, so Jonathan Hickman is leaving as the head of X-Men for Marvel Comics.
Yeah.
And he's kind of teased that like before he goes, they're gonna do
one thing last. Yeah, because you know what? I think it was on the podcast when I got the tablet, which is actually sitting right here. I think we talked about. I was reading a new X-Men run then.
Yeah,
and it was quite different. They had they have their own nation. And I was saying about Professor X with his big Cerebro helmet.
Yes,
that's all Jonathan Hickman. So that was 2019, maybe 2018.
Right,
maybe earlier. So he's been head writer of them for a while.
Yeah, I'm just trying to read.
I think before that he did a Fantastic Four run, which is quite well regarded. I've kind of meaning to check it out at some point. He's quite good at kind of redefining, moving things into the new.
They said they put out a new House of X logo as like a teaser.
Right, so, as part of this,
he's keeping his cards quite close to his chest by it seems, but I mean it might just be like a PR to make sure people buy his
That's
last
true, run, but I think at the same time it's making people aware that he is leaving because people who do like it, even people like not necessarily me, but who've read the initial bits and maybe fallen off. It'll give incentive to either catch up or.
He seems to be kind of saying that like there's lots of stuff he's wanting to do with X-Men, and because he's going, he's kind of thinking
I can take the chance.
It doesn't matter if it fails because. What's the worst that can happen?
Well, that's the thing. Does it say what he's moving on to? Because sometimes he might be doing another Marvel thing. He might be moving to another publisher, potentially moving away.
Yeah, completely.
Yeah.
No, I can't find anything specific, but maybe on a news article that's not got project in the title or something.
Yeah. Fair enough. No, that's good. Yeah, I mean, I'm keen to carry on with Jonathan Hickman's X-Men, especially if it's so I guess it's working on me. If it's it's coming to a close, I will check that out.
If it's something big, and like it could be because like it's not. We've got to the point where kind of the films are doing fairly recent comic book stories as the films.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like,
no, I know what you mean.
I was going to say Civil War. That's like what 50.
No, but even like Ms. Marvel TV show, she's from the last less than 10 years, somewhere between I think like 8 years or something.
Yeah.
Even Miles Morales in Spider-Verse, like Miles Morales is probably about 10 years as
10
well.
years,
Maybe 15.
So yeah, they are quite willing to like immediately pick stuff off and make a film of it.
Absolutely, And I think the thing is as well, what you do see with because Marvel Studios and Marvel Comics are obviously, inextricably linked.
Yeah.
There's you do quite often see them kind of foreshadowing stuff, even if it's just it's not necessarily intentional story stuff, but if there's like when Fantastic Four was with Fox, they ended up cutting off their story, and they weren't any Fantastic Four comics being published. So it's a really like underhanded way of being like, don't pay attention to them. We'll do loads of Avengers comics. It gets them in the zeitgeist and all that kind of thing.
They started to make a lot of the comic book characters look more like their film counterparts as well.
So if they're really doing a big push into X-Men, even if it's just this, or maybe it will reboot it in a way that matches more what they're going to do in the MCU. There's lots of interesting stuff that could come from this, but cool.
So
cool.
that's
quite a couple of ones with big talking points.
Yeah, exactly. I feel like it's more kind of within our realm of knowledge than
it's very
nice city planning
that
comes up down there.
City planning and wind farms.
Yeah, there was a wind farm one.
Damn it, Lewis! You've
you know the Japanese wind farm. They got new investment from a German company.
Lovely.
But I was like, there's only so much you can drag out of a wind farm project.
Yeah.
We can actually say stuff about X-Men.
Yeah, cool. So move on to the main topic.
Yeah, I've got the Google description if we want to kick off with that.
So the film we watched is 2012's Project X.
Yeah,
which is kind of a party comedy kind of film.
Yeah,
bit raunchy.
Bit. I think we watched a trailer described it as super bad on cocaine or something like that.
Crack or something like that. Yeah, which to be fair, at about 2/3 of the way through, I suddenly went, "Oh yeah, this is quite super bad, like, isn't it?" I hadn't really made that connection. But anyway, what's the summary?
Right, so it's got Thomas, Costa, and JB are three anonymous high school seniors who are determined to finally make their mark. But how to make themselves unforgettable in the annals of high school history? With an epic party, of course. The idea is innocent enough, but nothing can prepare the three friends for this shindig. As word of the soiree's awesomeness spreads, dreams are ruined, records are blemished, and legends are born.
That's quite a comprehensive
I was thinking it.
I think one of the ones we had a couple of weeks ago was incredibly short. I think that's one of the longer ones we've had.
Yeah, I think that is one of the longer ones.
I definitely couldn't one up that. I like the word shindig in there as well.
Shindig and soiree.
Soiree. I think they do say soiree at some point.
They do. I think Costa says it a few times.
Yeah. Costa.
But I think that's pretty much what it is.
Like, I would say
three losers have a party. They're worried nobody turns up, and then lots of people turn up.
Then more people turn up, and then it goes completely bonkers.
Yeah.
Police turn up. Yeah. You'll find out if you haven't seen this film.
Yeah.
Box office, anything like that?
Numbers? So, do you know what? It's actually the most successful film we've done yet.
Right, okay.
From a budget of $12 million. It made $102 million.
Okay, nice.
So 90%.
Yeah. That's good.
Nine times increase.
Almost 10 times.
Yeah. Pretty. And I also read that it was the most pirated film of 2012. I
saw that as well. Yeah, and interestingly enough, when I was looking up the trailer about 5 minutes ago, we saw that the whole film is on YouTube for free in HD as well.
It doesn't surprise me because it was the most pirated film of the year.
But obviously they don't seem to care about it now.
Yeah,
it's interesting to have. It's not I don't know what studios and stuff. I can't remember, but it was. It's quite a well-known film.
Yeah,
among
but it was
our age.
9 years ago now. So coming up to a decade. It was produced by Todd Phillips. Would be that's the name that plastered all over
That's the name. But at that point, it's because of
The Hangover.
The Hangover and something else, which I can't remember.
Yeah, I can't remember what it said,
But
but
now,
since
yeah,
he's done Joker,
yes. So he's
which is
now,
kind of a change in approach.
yeah, very much so. Yeah, I mean, it's did he win an Oscar for directing that, or
Quite
I think it won.
possibly.
It definitely won a few: best actor,
Joaquin Phoenix won.
best original soundtrack for the
Mm,
Icelandic lady who did the
don't think he did
cello.
win best. I can't remember who
It,
did.
it wasn't best film either, was it? I don't
No,
think. No, but yeah, I mean,
no.
it won some good good
Yeah,
awards there.
so
So yeah, he's really kind of come up
he,
since then, hasn't
I
he?
think, probably based on Hangover, he then produced this.
Yes, yeah, because
Which,
it's debauchery, drinking. He
yeah,
kind of and it's a comedy. It's a group of guys having like a crazy time.
yeah,
It's like
pretty much.
it's he's a bit of a shoo-in for it.
Directed by Nima Nourizadeh,
Yes,
his film debut.
right. Yeah, I
Uh,
watched a couple of interviews where he was
yeah,
spread
he's
throughout.
quite interesting. Like he's the son of an Iranian refugee,
Right. Okay.
which
Yeah.
you wouldn't think having watched this film.
No,
But
and
then,
he's British, isn't
yeah,
he? Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
his dad moved here to escape after the Iranian
Right.
Revolution,
Okay. Yeah.
which kind of made everything a bit more strict in
Yeah.
Iran. But he kind of made his name in directing music videos.
Yes. Yeah. It says on here, Google, he's a music
Yeah,
video
so he
director.
done lots of stuff for Dizzy Rascal, Lily Allen, Hot Chip.
Okay.
The one video that I did know that he did was Jamie T. Sheila.
Oh right,
I know that video.
Yeah. We watched that. It comes on quite a lot
Yeah,
at our shindigs, doesn't
yeah,
it?
our little soirees. Yeah, I was like, oh yeah, like it had other songs I knew, like Hot Chip Over
the
and
one
Over.
that you could imagine. Oh yeah, over. Is that quite a crazy video?
I can't remember the video. That's
I
the
think
thing.
that's the one where I don't know if I can't remember if he was a member of the band, but there's a bald guy who ends up kind of being possessed and he's got like weird shining lights out of his eyes. It's quite like a sci-fi video.
Oh,
It
I
might be
can't
that,
remember.
I can't remember.
But yeah, he done Sheila, which
Yeah, that's a good, and that's got the old like gangster guy like
yeah.
he's talk rapping the
Yeah,
lot
some of
of
the
it.
songs are quite well known,
Yeah,
but then
yeah.
he stayed up, did this. He followed this up with American Ultra with Jesse Eisenberg,
Oh yeah,
Kristen Stewart, Topher
I've never
Grace.
seen it. It's he's like a sleeper agent and he gets
Yeah,
activated. He's like a stoner guy and then he gets activated. He's like got special CIA powers or
right. I
something.
haven't seen it.
Yeah, I remember seeing the trailer. It seems it's that kind of film,
Yeah.
But
I
it makes sense that he's a music video director because a lot of this, especially the way
is
that
a
it's
party.
edited, it is just it's music videos for the key songs in it, really, isn't
Yeah.
it? Like a lot of those songs, which we'll probably get to as we go through, quite like party songs for that era.
Yeah.
Kind of for when we went to university as well, really. Like
Yeah,
a lot of it's quite
but they said
timely
like,
for us, isn't
they
it?
were 17 and this is 2012, and I was like, they're only like a year or two younger than us at this point.
Because we both went to uni in 2012, didn't we? So I think I remember watching this before going to uni, potentially. I don't know when
Right.
it came out, or maybe when I was in
March
first year.
2012, so it would have been a
so
few
it would
months
have
before we
been.
started.
Yeah.
I hadn't seen it before. So.
Oh, you've never seen it before at all? No.
No,
So the couple of things I remembered was the gnome thing and the flamethrower thing.
Right.
Which like obviously is it's two of the like things that stand out because
yeah.
they're not really. But yeah, so I remembered that. I didn't remember the kind of cameo that's in it, which is a bit strange.
Yeah.
It's not really a cameo.
No.
But we'll get to it as we move through. Yeah.
I'll just list off the last few names. So
screenplay
was by Michael Bacall,
who
who co-wrote the screenplay of Scott Pilgrim and
That's
21
right,
Jump Street.
21 Jump Street. And one of the actors is in 21 Jump Street as well, the camera guy, Dax.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he's also,
So,
he plays a similar character.
It's kind of like similar kind of target audience of like young adults.
Yeah.
It's different because Scott Pilgrim and 21 Jump Street obviously had something to base it on.
Yes, yeah. Even though 21 Jump Street is, I mean, it's based on the TV show. But
loosely, but
yeah. But I mean, I can see that. Yeah, it's similar. This is probably the I keep saying raunchy, but it is like the raunchiest one. I think the version that we both watched was the extended, which has more nudity and stuff like that in it. I looked it up
makes
afterwards.
sense. There was quite a fair bit of nudity.
I actually go just see that it says this version adds some pointless plot, don't know what that is, and numerous party impressions, and includes more nudity. I think it says somewhere. Yeah.
So finally, the cast, the lead guy is the only guy who I really recognised.
Yeah,
apart
what
from like
was
Chaos.
he? What was he
He's
on?
in Skull Island.
Right.
He's like the young kid.
That's right.
In Skull Island.
Yeah. Because I think he was one of the only people who had proper acting experience. It said
Yeah,
somewhere.
well, Oliver Cooper, who plays Costa, it was his first ever film.
Yeah, there was a bit of trivia on IMDb that said they did an open casting call for a lot of the actors.
Yeah.
So,
and did you also notice that a lot of the actors share names of their characters?
Yes, they did a bit of a Blair Witch, or
5 of them here. So Thomas Mann plays Thomas Cobb. Jonathan Brown plays JB.
Right, yeah.
The other friend. Dax Flame plays Dax.
Yeah.
Kirby Bliss Blanton plays Kirby, the kind of love interest, and Alexis Knapp plays Alexis, the hot girl.
The hottest girl in school, or whatever she is supposed to be. Yeah, I recognised her as well. I think she might be in something else.
I didn't really recognise that.
It might just be from watching the film before, to be honest.
Yeah. I did see Oliver Cooper's going to be in Ghostbusters later this year.
Oh, really? Which one was Oliver Cooper? The
Costa.
Oh, really? Okay, yeah.
Yeah, who apparently, like, the character wasn't meant to be, like, make a big deal that he's from Queens. The character wasn't meant to be from Queens, but he turned up and they were like, oh, this kid seems like he's from New York, even though he's from Ohio.
Yeah, it does seem like that, yeah. She was in all 3 Pitch Perfect films. She's like the hot girl in Pitch Perfect.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I have not seen those films.
Just to quickly go back to that YouTube video, it was uploaded 8 years ago, so they really don't give a fuck.
Oh, Jesus.
They've just left it up there for almost the whole time.
How many views has it got?
8.4 million. So when it says most pirated, I think this might be a big source of that. That streaming.
Although it was most pirated in 2012. That was 8 years ago. I've been put after. But it doesn't surprise me. It's on YouTube. If it's most pirated.
They probably just went, fuck it. Like, yeah. Fuck it.
So final thing is the ratings.
Right, yeah.
Do you know the Rotten Tomatoes?
I think I saw it was quite low in the 20s.
28%. So
right, okay, yeah.
Not too different from a lot of the films we watched.
It seems to turn out that if you put project in the title of your film, you might get a lot of people watching it, but it'll be viewed quite badly.
We'll watch it.
We'll watch it. Yeah, you'll get at least two people watching your film.
Yeah, it's got 6.6 on IMDb, which tends to suggest viewers liked it more than critics, which doesn't surprise me.
I mean, for a film like that, 6 is what you'd expect. I don't know what like the Hangover films got, but I'm sure 2 and 3 are probably around that. One's probably a bit higher rated, but lots of kind of they're like late night comedy kind of things. They're always around the 6 really, because people like them, but they're not good films normally.
Yeah, this film wasn't made for the critics in any way.
It wasn't. Yeah.
So shall we?
Should we get into it? Yeah. So it starts off with a fake warning at the start. That thanks. I can't remember who it thanks. It thanks the law enforcement for dealing with it and the residents of Pasadena, California.
Even though this was all on a set.
Exactly. Did you actually see with the set on IMDb? It said that they filmed it on a set to avoid disturbing neighbors, but because of the noise of the bass, they still had complaints from neighbors. It's like. So I don't know if they CG'd houses around it.
No, they built like an entire.
They built
street.
a whole neighborhood.
So
right.
I think a lot of the houses would have just been empty,
just shells.
Just the shells. Yeah.
'Cause it doesn't take long to put up like a shell of a house if it doesn't have to.
If it's just
bear
wooden,
any load or whatever. Yeah. Oh, fair enough.
So they built the whole street, but then they also had to film it chronologically because of the damage at the end of the film.
Oh, nice.
So you can't once you like. Once a tree gets set on fire, you can't unset it on fire.
Well, that's it. And budget constraints as well. There's some stuff with a couple of stunts that we can cover a bit later, but they did them like once.
Yeah, because, and they're like, let's hope this works.
Which is quite rare because with a low budget film, maybe not so much, but lots of films aren't filmed sequentially, are they?
Yeah.
Because, for different reasons.
Yeah, I guess
locations and stuff.
Because it's kind of set in one night, you just kind of. Yeah. And it's kind of one location. It kind of makes more sense.
I imagine that they probably could have filmed the off-site stuff at any point. That was probably just filmed here and there because there's bits at the start. Anyway, so we we immediately see that it's found footage, and I've completely forgotten it was found footage, and I've literally written, fuck's sake, it's a found footage film.
Yeah, and like, why?
I mean, it makes sense, and they kind of get round it in lots of different ways. There's some body cam stuff. There's a lot of stuff which you don't know how it's filmed. Like the kind of the music video-y shots of the party, and it doesn't really take you out because I think they did film it. The cast were filming stuff.
So
is that right?
the director gave a bunch of the extras like BlackBerries and iPhones to record on.
Yeah. Was it something like 10,000 hours of footage? Or
and like he had to sit through and watch it all.
Yeah, but they got some good stuff. Like you do get a real,
because he said like
vibe.
I think like during takes they still had the DJ going to keep people's vibe going. So they were just carried on party. It was done over like 5 days, but they would just keep kind of partying, so they just got people to continuously film.
It makes sense because you're just getting B-roll basically, aren't you? And then you just
it's like if you stopping and starting as well, it'd look less authentic.
Yeah, absolutely. So we get introduced to Costa, who is this quite annoying guy who's like a bit of a prankster. He's a bit of a loser. He's kind of like he's the same guy in every kind of team film, really.
Yeah, he kind of reminds me of Jay from The In-Betweeners.
Yeah. He thinks that he's much better and cooler than he is, but at the same time really is desperately trying to be like the cool guy. So he's kind of aware, but and
like is only friends with like other losers.
Only friends with other and it starts off, they're like, oh, it's Thomas's birthday, we're doing like a video project.
He goes into the house and it's a song playing and he keeps just going, hey, we want some pussy. Singing along. It's like,
there's a mixture. So I wrote at one point that the soundtrack's really good, but there's some not so great songs on it as well, I'd say. Like, just not my taste. There are some good party songs in it.
Yeah, a lot of it I just kind of thought was like, oh, it's generic party music.
And then so there's this guy Dax that's filming. I don't know if we get introduced immediately, but he's not friends with them.
Yeah,
he's in like the AV Audio Video Club.
He's
much more of he's like a rung below them. He's a complete loner.
He's like, they say he's just like a goth.
Yeah, the dad's like, what, you friends with goth kids now? He's got like a long like
he's
Neo
dressed like Neo.
Yeah. We only really see him a couple of times, and they get caught by the mum talking about this party, and she's quite like suspicious and aggro,
and they're like, oh, we're just doing like a birthday video for Thomas. She's like, well, he's in the shower.
And then they just go up and surprise him in the shower, but before that they do the soap prank.
He like rubs his toothbrush with soap so when he brushes his teeth. Hilarious.
And we get a little shot of him later like but they surprise him.
They pull the curtain back on the shower and they're like, happy birthday.
And he's just like, oh, like, fuck off kind of thing. Like they kind of got that relationship where like they're all friends, not with Dax, with this other guy later. So Costa and Thomas and this guy JB, who we meet later, they're all really good friends, but he kind of hates Costa a little bit. Like they all kind of piss each other off.
It's kind of like a friendship of convenience because they've got other friends more than they're actually getting along.
That's it. And then he's in his room and he's talking about I think they're talking about the party, and he's kind of a bit like hesitant still for quite a lot of the start. Thomas is quite like the other guy is like, Costa is like really big on the idea of this party.
Yeah, because Thomas's parents are going away for the weekend.
That's right.
So he's got a free house.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it might be a bit after, but Dax films them having a conversation like, oh, you sure it's okay to leave him in his own?
And the dad,
like, that's like, it'll be fun. He's a loser.
The dad calls him a loser. Like, he's fucking hard. He says not exactly Mr. Popular. He calls him a loser. But basically, I thought it was weird that because the parents are going away for the weekend and it's the kid's birthday on that Friday. But it turns out the wedding anniversary clashes with the birthday.
Yeah.
And even though 17, I mean, I guess it's not a big birthday, they're still going away, so it's timed quite well for them to have a big thing. And
they leave them like $40 for pizza.
Yeah.
And they're like, don't go in my office.
Yeah, there's a couple of rules they got here. He says, where is it? I literally can't see it here. Oh yeah, 5 friends allowed only. No using the nice car because they give him the minivan to use. I think it's a birthday present as well, isn't it? It's like the mum's old, like it's a bit of a clunky like pickup
family car.
Like a people carrier kind of thing. Yeah, no one in the dad's office because there's 3 projects he's working on.
Maybe future episodes. It's actually like us. It's our office. Oh, it's working on a few projects.
The thing is about the office, there's a bit where some people are having sex in the office later, but I think that's one of the rooms that actually seems all right. I mean, apart from maybe the big damage at the end.
Yeah,
but I think that's not too badly touched, really.
No, yeah, that seems to. So people kind of follow that rule.
Yeah,
weirdly enough.
Yeah, and then they go to school. So that's the end of the first bit of the house.
Yeah,
they go to school and they pull up, and there's JB's there, who's like slightly like more overweight guy than them. He's got glasses,
like just like a fat.
He's a bit like Jonah Hill in Superbad.
Yeah,
but Jonah Hill in Superbad is like the Costa character personality wise.
Yeah,
he's like the jokey kind of dick.
He's
guy.
more just like
he's more like
quiet.
Michael Cera in that film.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean? It's like, yeah, he's quiet. He's not very self-confident.
Yeah,
but he seems like quite a wholesome guy.
Yeah,
he's
they're basically talking about this party, like, and Thomas is getting a bit reluctant. And they get to the bit like kind of showed their level at school. They get to their locker.
Yeah, Thomas's locker's just got this bully.
Yeah,
just
and
like
he's like,
on it.
Can I get into my locker? And he's like, why are you staring at my dick? And it's like,
he's like a blonde. He's like a kind of I was gonna say Flash Gordon, but Flash Thompson from Spider-Man. Like, he's a classic,
like
he's like a jock guy, basically. Yeah. And they just like walk off, so he doesn't even get to use his locker.
Yeah.
And then there's kids in the locker room talking about, or maybe outside the locker room talking about the last party that was like really good. And this is very similar to Superbad as well, because I think they hear about a party. And this guy's like, everyone got laid. Even Wheelchair Robert got a hand job. And they're like, man, even Wheelchair Robert got a hand job. And it's really like getting them like apart from Thomas, who's still quite...
Thomas is like really concerned that like he's going to set up this party and then it'd be shit and no one turns up and it'll make it even worse.
Yeah, in the whole of this bit, Costa's trying to get him, like convince him to do it first of all, because he's kind of backed out at the start a little bit.
Yeah.
And he's like, it's going to get everyone, I think he says, to recognize us as large scale ballers. And then he says, like, if this goes wrong, I'm going to stab you. And I'm like, this guy is fucking Vinny. Like, literally Vinny.
I knew from my science project.
Yeah, from my science project. So a couple episodes ago, we watched it. Guy from Queens, like, bit of
I think he was Brooklyn, but still New York.
Yeah,
from New York.
Very similar character, much more toned down, but similar personality, like a bit of like a jerk friend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you hear that?
Yeah. Right, we're back. There was a car alarm going off.
I just kind of stopped and was like, what the fuck is that?
But yeah, Costa,
he's like Vinny, and like he's constantly saying like, "Oh, back in Queens, I did this," and that, which reminds me of Jay from the Inbetweeners.
And he's also very like derogatory of girls, isn't he? Like, there's I think it's in that bit he says Thomas is like, "Why should I do the party?" And he's like, "There's a reason there." He's pointing at girls, he's pointing at their bums, and he's like, "That ass."
Yeah,
and he's talking about like when he does the invitation in the next scene, I think he sends out when Thomas agrees to it, he sends out like a mass text to everyone in the school. Somehow he's got everyone's number. And he says like, ugly bitches stay home. Like,
wear something tight.
Yeah, he keeps saying,
and like, he goes up to girls like, remember to wear something tight.
And they're all looking at him like, what the fuck? And there's quite a funny montage where he's going around telling people, and then the camera guy Dax goes round asking some of them afterwards, and they're like, "Is that the party that weird guy in the sweater vest was talking about?"
Yeah, it's like, oh yeah, I'm trying to see where we are, but yeah, they're kind of like, what? Who's that guy?
Yeah, it's because they keep saying, "Oh, you coming to Thomas Cobb's birthday?" And they're like, "Who the fuck is Thomas?" It's really, like you say, showing where they stand on the whole thing.
Yeah, and they even do it to each other because there's that bit they go into the toilet and Costa's like having a shit.
He's on the phone trying to sort something out for the birthday.
Yeah, and they grab like the toilet bin and just like throw it over the top.
Yeah, they just throw loads
and then like turn the light off and go out. So they like just do it to each other.
Well, that's the thing. That made me think although he seems like a bit of a dickhead to them, like they clearly give it back as much.
Yeah.
You know, which is some
You
degree,
kind of
anyway.
have to deal with him.
Yeah.
And then we see Thomas has got another friend.
Yes. So there's this girl, Kirby, and he's talking to her on the like bleachers, like the stands thing, and the other two sneak up,
and
or
Dax.
three, and Dax.
I kind of feel like
Dax is just the point of view character.
Yeah,
isn't he?
like the only reason he's kind of in this is so that none of the main three characters, all the three main characters are on screen.
Yeah, that's
kind of the only reason Dax is there.
And then and then they're being quite cute, and they've clearly known each other for a while.
Yeah, like
talking about birthday stuff.
Yeah, and she says going to bring a present, and they talk about his parents being Mama Cub and Daddy Cub.
Yeah, see,
because his surname's
I
Cub.
didn't get that at the time. I thought that's a bit weird, maybe not weird, but it's like I don't know.
She's kind of like one of those characters that's like kind of meant to be not that popular, a bit of a loser, but also like clearly one of the most attractive girls at the school.
Yeah, she's supposed to, because they cast her as like someone who would stand out, obviously.
Yeah.
And they've got like a bit of a thing, like an unspoken thing almost. And then
it's got the bit
there's quite a funny bit when she starts walking away and he's like, don't fall over, and you just hear her like crashing down the stairs, and he's like, oh shit, are you okay? And she's like, yeah,
okay.
It's quite
like it kind of shows that she's
also a bit like
bit of a loser.
Yeah,
then it's got the bit where Dax is going around. They're like,
this is the wear something tight.
But then it's the turning bit, because then they start being like, "Can I bring people?"
Yes,
which is kind of like the moment that the party is going to be big.
You see them talk to those like kind of like stonery guys sitting on the ground. And and the first they're like, "What the fuck?" when Costa asked them, and then Dax kind of comes back later, I think, or someone else, and then he's like, "Oh yeah, we heard about it." Like, yeah, can we bring people? And then there's the little cuts of, can we bring someone?
Yeah.
And we're like, oh shit, like we know where this is going, but to them it's like, this is great. And then there's
and Thomas also then asks Alexis as well.
That's
who's
right. Does he go and is that the bit where he's talking to her in the distance? Like, he's doing it, because they talk about, I think Costa's like, she's like the hottest girl in school.
It's kind of like, if you get her to come, then everyone will come.
That's right. Yeah. And they say something. Yeah. They're basically all like perving over her. Kind of thing.
She's the popular hot girl.
So. And I'm pretty sure Costa drops some F-bombs at some point around here. I'm pretty sure he calls.
He
also says the N-word at one point later on.
He does. Coming up, actually.
Yeah.
He's not a very nice person.
No, this is why he's very much like Vinny, but just with less ridiculous writing. More realistic, annoying,
I think it's
teenage boy writing.
I think it's quite clear, like, especially him, like, they're kind of not likable people.
No. I mean, the thing is, Thomas is
okay, but then he's also like,
apart from his relationship with Kirby, he doesn't really have any character.
No,
he's quite like,
I like, oh, that fucking alarm's back again.
It's a bit of old Project X over there.
Go sort your car out. We'll just
we'll try and edit it. You might never hear this.
But yeah, he's kind of like, like whenever he talks, he's like, "Oh, I'm worried," and then the next scene he's just like doing shots and stuff. And it's like, his actions never match his words.
There's a big trope that we've talked about later on where he's very easily convinced of something.
Yeah, it's kind of more believable in it, but we'll get to it.
There's a cool little montage bit where they're going to the shop.
Yeah.
And there's the song, I think it's Trouble on My Mind, which is, I think, a song that I listened to after this film. Which I think Pusha T and Tyler the Creator, I think it is. It's
right.
Quite
they're basically going around getting like the classic red cups and stuff. There's a bit where I
don't really know how they're buying the alcohol, because they're not.
No.
They've probably got a fake ID. It doesn't really go.
Yeah. Costa gives a miniature vodka to a baby.
And then the baby starts crying and the mum's just like, what the fuck kind of thing. Like, she doesn't really react.
Costa also shoves a load of condoms in his pocket. He's like, not paying for them.
Not paying for those. And then as they're checking out, they notice next to them is Miles Teller, the actor. And they're just like,
who is just Miles Teller.
He's just
on Wikipedia it has it Miles Teller plays the jock Miles, but like in this they quite clearly say, look, it's Miles Teller.
Yeah. And I thought it was supposed to be like, oh, the local famous actor Miles Teller, which I think is kind of what it's going for, because he turns up in like a party bus with loads of girls and stuff. But when I looked it up, like, he hadn't been in very much stuff at this point, because he's been in like I haven't seen Whiplash yet, but he's in
Yeah.
Whiplash. He's in the
Fan-forced it.
Fantastic Four, Fan-forced it. He's been in quite a lot of stuff. But I think, he's just playing like an exaggerated version of himself.
Yeah, just kind of like a college arsehole
And
job
then,
guy.
they're like, oh, come to our party. And he's like, oh, no, I'm busy. And they're like, oh, it's at Blaker Street or whatever. And they're like, you're at the Blaker Street
your party? Yeah, that's where I'm going.
But then, see, I didn't check how old he was because he says, oh, yeah, a bit of high school pussy. And I'm like, how old is Mark? Because he seems like he's older than them.
Yeah.
So if he's 19, that's a little bit.
Well, they're like 70.
Yeah, but I mean, high school is a broad term. I know that he doesn't mean 15-year-olds, but
the fact that he's labelled on Wikipedia as a college jock, so he's at college, so he's probably like 19, 20. It's not too, but it's still a bit weird for him to be like, I love that. It's kind of like that Michael McConaughey, like, oh, my favorite thing about high school girls is that I keep getting older and they stay the same age.
Yeah. It's very much that kind of thing, isn't it?
And then it's that funny bit where he's like leaving and Costa's like, bring your mitt, we can play catch. And he's like, no.
Is that like as if he's like a father figure thing? I don't really understand.
Like, that's really weird.
And then there's quite a funny little bit in the car where JB's talking about finger banging.
Yeah, I've written down various finger banging techniques.
It's clearly like an improv bit while they're just going like driving along because it just keeps cutting and he's just doing more and more ridiculous like double-handed techniques.
It's like he's doing shadow puppets with his hand.
And he says, keep telling her how pretty she is. I thought that was quite funny. And this is where they pull up to buy some weed. From
they go to like this
guy.
Really dodgy area. Like
they say like lock your doors and stuff as they're going past. And this is when Costas says something about N-words and they're like,
they're walking up and he's like, oh yeah,
something like that. And it's like
the whitest kid in school.
Yeah. And then, this really weird guy who's played by Rick Shapiro, who I think is quite a well-known like comedian in America.
Yeah, I didn't know.
It said something about like he does like hour-long monologues on the stage and stuff. Like he's quite like a unhinged kind of comedian guy, which is the character he's playing.
Yeah, he's kind of playing this really dingy kind of like a crack house basically.
Yeah, I think he's got like a weird robe on or something, hasn't he? Like almost like a silk, like a kimono or something. He's got like a weird. Has he got a weird beard or something? Yeah, he looks like he's an ex-military.
Because it's like the found footage. We kind of see this all from a window outside because Dax is filming.
Because Dax films outside, and he gives them a bit of weed and they're smoking it, and then he sells. You don't really see what
they're sitting there listening to James Blunt as well, which made me laugh.
And then and there's this gnome that's like giving the middle finger, like a garden gnome.
It's like it looks like. I think they say it's like Santa Claus.
Yeah, but they call it a gnome as well at some point.
I think it says. I wrote down they steal a Santa gnome.
Because then Costa in a very super bad way is pretending to like have sex with the gnome.
Yeah,
and he's like, coming on Santa Claus.
You know that's a boy, so that makes you gay, right?
Did he say that? And then he throws it out the window to Dax, and then they buy the stuff that they're buying, and then they leave, and then they've got the gnome in the car, and then suddenly this guy is just like running out like crazy, like give me back my gnome.
Yeah, and at that point I was like, he really loves his gnome.
Yeah, so I remembered at that point what the stakes were, I suppose. And then
he jumps to the front and like smashes the front windscreen.
Smashes the front window, and then they keep going around. He seems to have these shortcuts through the neighborhood and keeps turning up, like banging on the doors. And they're just like really freaked out. Like, this is the first like big weird thing. But
they kind of get away. They get home, and then we're introduced to the security for the party, which is two like 11-year-old
like preteen boys
called
and they've got
Everett and Tyler.
They've got like yellow security like windbreaker jackets.
Yeah,
and they've both got little body cams which come useful for some footage later on. And they've got nunchucks, and they say like, "Oh, you've got nunchucks like a ninja," and the kid's like, "Ninjas are pussies."
Yeah,
very funny.
Yeah, Costa and JB then go around and warning all the neighbors.
Yeah, that's right.
Like, oh, there's gonna be a party. It's not gonna be too much. It's just it's a few of Thomas's friends for his birthday.
There's a couple of neighbours. There's one guy who we see later on who is trying to put his baby to sleep while they come round. He's like, yeah, whatever. Like,
he's like, can I come? And they're like, yeah, come over.
Yeah. Is that guy? Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, and there's also like an attractive woman that Costa gives his number to and be like, if you're too loud, just give me a text. You're really, really attractive, by the way. Did I tell you? You're really attractive.
Yeah, he's very much that kind of character.
Yeah.
And then the cuts to the party. It's like,
well, that's setting up the party, aren't they?
oh yeah, there's a bit of setting up stuff.
Like they put up the sign by the swimming pool saying "naked girls only."
Yeah.
JB's running on a treadmill to work out before the party.
Yeah, and then
Costa puts it really high and he falls off.
But then it does cut to it's 9:20 and there's nobody there.
Is that because there's also they notice the bouncy castle.
Oh yeah.
And they're like sick because then that comes, or they call it a bounce house.
They call it a bounce house. Bounce house is American.
I feel like bouncy castle sounds so much better.
I mean, they are almost always castles, so it makes sense.
And a castle's better than a house.
Much better, yeah. But yes, there's lots of pieces set up.
And it's also established at that point that Dax doesn't drink, so all have shots.
That's right. So they all have shots.
Like, no, I don't drink.
That's when it cuts, and it's 9:20. The DJ's not playing; he's just like there, like chilling, because nobody's there apart from them and Kirby, I think.
Yeah, and
they're playing Mortal Kombat on like the Xbox.
This is about a third into the film now. So
yeah, so this is all the pieces. All the pieces are set up. I imagine, although there's a lot of stuff, we'll probably get through these bits.
Yeah, like the whole party for a lot of it is just like shots of generic party stuff that like there's not too much we could like make notes on.
We'll try and move through it, not quickly, but we won't. We'll hit the main points from this point on.
So a bunch of people turn up.
Yeah, suddenly there's loads of cars. And everyone turns up at once. I guess they all agree to turn up at 9:30 or something like that. They all turn up. There's like loads of popular girls and hot girls.
Like Alexis is there.
There's a girl with her, like a blonde girl who they're like, oh, she left 3 years ago and she only goes to the coolest parties.
Yeah.
It's like all that kind of stuff.
It's like, oh shit, this is going to be a big party. And then we kind of get the first montage of people partying.
Oh, before that, we do see JB when they're doing when they're waiting, playing Mortal Kombat. He comes in his like suit and he looks quite like smart. And he looks like quite cute and like and Kirby's kind of taking the piss, but also says, "Oh, like, you look quite handsome." And Costa's really taking the piss, but he's wearing like a fucking sweater vest.
He's wearing like a fucking sweater vest.
Like, he has no right to have any. Like he looks good. This guy.
Like, of the three of them, he's easily best dressed.
Maybe don't wear like big brown shoes, but like
he's gonna notice your shoes.
Then everyone suddenly arrives, and then you see some shots of people turning up. That's not found footage. It's kind of more like cinematic shots,
unless it's like the security guards.
Yeah, it could be. Yeah, Costa tells Thomas that he should hook up with the hottest girl from school, which I think is this Alexis girl.
Yeah.
And like, clearly there's a thing with Kirby that's going to happen as well.
He's like, it's your party. Like, it's kind of you got first dibs sort
which
of thing.
Apparently is the way it works, even though I don't think realistically, especially the point when something starts happening later, like he's like fucked up and like sweaty and gross and like anyway.
This is also the bit where I started feeling really sorry for the dog.
Yes, I was gonna say people were smoking with the dog.
They're like smoking blowing into the dog's face. You see the dog on the bouncy castle, which you can't enjoy.
Yeah,
and then eventually they tie a bunch of balloons to the dog and it starts flying, like floating up.
Yeah, and Thomas is like, that's the first thing I think that makes Thomas like, what the fuck?
Yeah, because he has to go out and save the
pull
dog.
It down, and then he takes it into the bedroom and he's like stroking it, and Kirby's there. There's quite a few moments where they're kind of out of the party together, like just bonding a little bit.
And that, I think
is that when she gives him the birthday present, or is that
no? That's a bit later on, but it's kind of the first moment of the party where those two are kind of having their intimate moment.
And then
more party stuff. Costa has a tequila gun.
Yeah, and he's also got like a goblet thing, Costa, like a chalice thing. Yeah. Which comes up quite a bit. And there's also this like mustache guy who's like much older, who's just like dancing loads and like drinking. And I'm like, this guy's fucking go for it.
He turns up because they're playing like beer pong.
That's it.
And he turns up and they're like, who
they're
are
like,
you?
oh, like as if he's like some narc guy.
Yeah, and he's like, I'm here to party.
And he's like, I'm here.
First shot of beer pong gets
like,
it
slams
in.
it and then downs the cup with it. And everyone's like, woo!
Yeah.
Then shortly after this, so the security are there to stop people going in the house because they've got. So first, we haven't really said the house is fucking massive.
Yeah, it's one of those proper like big suburban American houses.
Even when it zooms out, like they've got the biggest house. Like they've got a big house. The garden is like massive, like 200 meters, like
like it's got like a pool in the middle. It's a big pool, but there's so much space around the pool. It's like a really
big pool, and there's loads of space around. They've got like a little pool house, like the proper like big separate building. The house is like a big 2 stories, maybe 3
I think
stories.
it's 3.
I think he's up in the attic, maybe. We don't really know.
Yeah.
Like in a big bit at the top. But yeah, people suddenly start going in the house, right?
Yeah, because they're like out of the front being like, oh my god, like this party's insane.
Yeah.
And the security constant like people are in
people
the house.
in the house, like red alert kind of thing.
And they go into the kitchen. There's a bunch of people there, and Thomas gets up on the table ready.
But just before that, the party bus turns up at the same time.
Oh yeah,
because they're like, oh, who's that? And I think Thomas has gone inside to check on the people.
Yeah,
and at the same time, the other lot are outside.
Miles
Teller comes out with like all these like hot girls, and he's like, oh, where's the party at? Kind of thing.
Yeah,
and Thomas stands up.
Yeah, he kind of gets on the table ready to like kick everyone out.
Yeah.
And then Miles Teller comes in and be like, sick party, man.
And like Alexis is also like looking at him. He's like about to like announce, he's like, everybody, like, and he's about to say get out. And then they're all like, Thomas. And he's like, and he starts like smiling and like,
and he kind of gets down off the table and is like, okay.
Because it for him, it kind of comes in waves where
like the panic and the enjoyment.
The panic and which I guess is kind of the way that it goes with these things.
Yeah.
And it kind of gets more
especially
extreme.
17-year-old drinking loads later on.
Especially as they're years off the drinking age. For us, if we were 17 having a party, obviously, there's a bit of risk involved, but you're only less than a year off.
Most 17-year-olds in England have drank at some point.
Yeah, it's pretty normal in lots of ways. But and then the neighbor comes around, is that?
Yeah, so the neighbor who...
The baby, one with the baby.
Baby who Costo invited, who said he might turn up at some point.
Yeah, so he's like a middle-aged man.
I'd say a bit, like, probably like in his early 30s, mid-30s, I'd say.
Yeah, mid-30s or so.
Like, he's quite a big guy.
Quite a big guy,
And he's like, I don't want to be like a dick, but like, this is too loud. I've got a baby that's trying to sleep.
And he's quite nice at first, and throughout the conversation, they're kind of just like, no, especially Costa's just like, no. And he's like, I'm telling you, the party's shut down, which is kind of the way that it's quite realistic.
Like Costa kind of like makes it bigger and bigger until he's like, I'm just asking you to turn it down.
And he eventually is like, I'm gonna call the cops if you don't shut it down.
And then one of these security kids tases him in like the back of the neck.
And then he's just like, what the fuck? And turns around and fucking decks this kid.
Yeah, and he's like, I'm gonna call the police. And Costa's like, you can't call the police. Like, you punched a kid.
No, he's like, I got, you.
And he's like, oh no, I've got you on camera tasing it. And then Dax is like, actually, I only got you punching the kid, which we know isn't true because we can see it.
But it's like
Dax does a lot of like backing them up in this without ever really being their friend.
Yeah. And then and then Costas is sitting on a car talking to the kid because he's got like a big mark on his face. He's like he's like 11, little skinny kid, but like really like gutsy. And he seems like kind of upset by being punched in the face, but he makes him kind of feel better. But then kind of says like, I'll go spy on the neighbor and see if he calls the cops.
Yeah.
So he's kind of like a bit wormy because you think he's being nice to him, but then he still needs to use him kind of thing.
It's also, we forgot to mention earlier that a couple of freshmen had cycled past asking if they can go to the party.
Yeah, right at the start.
And Costa's like, no, you're like, too young. Because at that point, Costa then finds the freshmen at the party and like kicks them out.
They're like upstairs or something. Yeah. They were just like looking around the house.
Then there's lots more partying. And it's like generic shots of like people drinking.
The sign at the pool comes into play around.
Yeah,
now.
So Costa's like on the edge of the pool, and a girl she goes to get in the pool, and he's
in her bra and underwear.
Yeah, and he's like, "Hey, read the sign." And she looks at her, and then she's takes her bra
and everyone's
off.
Like, woo! And then there's just loads of shots after that.
A bunch of topless girls.
Of girls taking their tops off, and loads of underwater shots of bums and boobs.
Yeah,
and it's just. And from this point on,
very gratuitous nudity.
From this point on, there is every 10 minutes there's at least 2 lots of boobs. At least 2 boobs.
At least 2 boobs.
Yeah, from this point on, I mean, when people start getting more fucked up, there's loads of shots of people like flashing and stuff. Yeah. Which I guess, I mean, it's this kind of film. It gets to the point where you're like, oh, I mean, even this bit with all the underwater stuff, it's like you say, it's very gratuitous, and you're like, okay, right. But
it's just kind of
it is teenage boys filming it. Like, it's quite realistic, I suppose. I don't know if that many girls would start taking their clothes off. I guess if they were drunk enough and you had a big pool.
I think they're also like 17-year-olds drinking heavily.
Yeah,
like,
one of the
peer pressure might just come into
one of the bits of trivia was that all actors were 18 or over. And I was like, Yeah, I hadn't
Yeah,
really
I'd
thought
hope
about
so.
that. I hadn't really thought about that. I've written okay for you. So it's like we all just watched a load of 17-year-old boobs, but no, thankfully not.
Yeah, we also then get
there's a zip line
zip
suddenly.
line, suddenly a zip line. And a guy comes from like the top of the house, zip wires down and lands in the pool, which is pretty cool.
It's very cool, and there's some cool stuff like that. But also, was that already there, or
I don't know.
I mean, I imagine that the dad wouldn't have had a zip line on his house.
No, I think it might have just been like a cable or something.
And they were just
it might be like an electricity wire to the pool house.
Yeah, and they were just
to have like lights in there,
top,
and he just kind of put, I don't know, like a coat hanger or something over the top, and
yeah, it could well be. Yeah, it seemed like a proper like mechanism, but that might be just how they did it in the film. The film,
yeah.
And then
there's like a lot of these shots of the party. I didn't write down because it's just a load of shit's happening. I don't know when. Like there's a guy cycling around doing tricks. There's a skateboard on the roof.
The skateboarding comes a little bit later. I've got that because that's when stuff really starts getting fucked up.
Oh yeah.
But at this bit we've got Alexis has texted Thomas's phone because for some reason Thomas doesn't have his phone on him. Because one of the things that the parents said was answer every phone call.
Yeah.
And there's a point later where he doesn't have his phone, so he's missed them and they call the house. But anyway, Alexis texts him and says birthday shot, body shots for
Thomas,
the birthday
JB, and Costa like upstairs being like calling down, being like how insane in this party. Yeah, and then Alexis texts like body shots.
Yeah, and then he goes down and finds her, and she's like, "Oh, I've got a present for you." But it's not body shots because body shots I thought are supposed to be like in the belly button.
Yeah,
or like sometimes you put like a cup, like like a little shot balanced on like cleavage or something else.
She puts like a lemon in his mouth.
Yeah,
puts some like.
She puts the lime juice on the neck and then puts it in his mouth. Salt. It's like a tequila shot, but on his neck.
Yeah, and then like licks it off.
Yeah, and then they like make out, and then she's like, "Oh,
well, no, they don't even make out." She's like, "Oh, now my turn," and like bites the lemon in his mouth, and like it's like they're kissing, but like there's lemon, half a lemon in their mouth. So it's like, they can't really be kissing because like
they come away with their lips like
they're really like going for it, but like their tongues are stuck in their mouth because there's a big fucking lemon in the way.
Yeah, I hadn't really thought about that, to be honest.
Unless they're both just like licking the lemon. You're so sour.
There's a funny bit with the mustache guy. I think this is him playing beer pong either again. Oh yeah, maybe that's when he plays.
That's
beer
when he
pong.
turns up.
I think he's in it earlier, but it's when he turns up originally.
Yeah,
they're all suspicious, and then this bit, I thought he looked a bit like Kurt Russell at this point. I don't know if he is an actor, like a weird nerdy.
I kind of thought he looked like a more like white American Pedro Pascal.
Yeah. He's got a little mustache. He's got a little like. Kind of
this is also the point where the dad calls.
Is it now? Yeah,
that he's in the office and he's like, "Hey," I can't remember what he says, but
he says, "Oh, why haven't you been answering your phone call?" And he was like, "Oh, we were just
we're in the hot tub."
In the hot tub, yeah.
It's like it's just.
And there's some funny bits where he's like, "Okay, as long as everything's okay," and there's like
a fire.
There's like a fireball like shooting. I don't know what it is. Someone's spraying deodorant or something.
Yeah, but in the garden behind him,
and it's just like a good like shot where Thomas has just got this like panicked expression on his face, hoping that his dad.
Yeah, I think that's in the trailer we watched.
I think it might be. Yeah, and then
and then it cuts. It cuts to the kids. So like Costa gets like a walkie-talkie like. And he can't really hear it.
Yeah,
so he runs out.
The guy is the kid who got punched, who was supposed to be spotting on the neighbor, is he's trying to get through to Costa. So yeah,
and he goes out to the front, and he's like, "I'm in too deep." He's like, "Oh no!" He's like, "He's going to call the cops. I know he's going to call the cops."
He says, he's having an argument with his wife. He's been drinking, and he tells her that he wants to sort it on his own. And she's trying to get him to call the cops because the baby can't sleep.
And he's like, "How do you know this? How do you know this?" And then you see like a light flash from the upstairs window of the neighbor's house, and he's like, "What?" He's like, "Yeah, I'm inside."
And it's really funny because the kids are just like insane, especially him.
Like one of them's still at the party.
One of them's still trying to. I don't know what he's doing because he's pretty much useless.
But the other one's like, he's like, it cuts to him.
He's in like a closet or a cupboard, isn't he? Yeah.
It's funny. I watched an episode of Always Sunny a couple of weeks ago, and there's an episode where they all get locked in like the closet of like this house, and you hear voices of like Southern American accents, like kind of quite aggressive and they're trying to sneak out, then they keep coming back. And then like by then they're like, how the hell do they not know we're in here? And one of them, I don't know the character's names, comes in and ends up in the closet with them. And he's like, yeah, I just walked in through the front door. And
to try and join them.
And then eventually like, you know what? We could probably just walk out the front door. They're so oblivious. And they walk past the living room, they turn, and there's like a Korean family there. And they're like, wow, that's not what we expected at all. And they just...
So they thought they were going to be like rednecks. Or
yeah, because
like,
you
really...
can hear them. They've got like those kind of accents.
Yeah.
But yeah, you can't remind me of that, just they're hiding in the closet like, oh shit. But yeah, so then we get another bit of Thomas and Kirby upstairs because Kirby's going to give Thomas her gift.
Yes, that's right.
Which I think is like a picture frame of like an old picture of
it's
them
on like Halloween or something. They've got you don't really see it, but
Yeah.
they're like, oh, he's being like, oh, you were so cute back then, haha. And she's like, oh, shut up, like, oh. And then they start like kissing, or he kisses her.
He kisses her, and he's like, oh, I'm sorry.
He's like, oh, was that weird? And she's like, yeah, but you know. And then they like making out, and then the whole time, I guess one of the security kids is watching from the cupboard or something, or from like through the door, which happens quite a bit. He does all these shots of them in the bedroom.
He's just hiding in Thomas's bedroom cupboard for half the film, it seems.
And and they're making out.
But then he announces to everyone, the cops are coming, the cops are coming.
Yeah, this bit's quite a good bit. I think you might see a bit in the trailer. Maybe not. I'm not sure.
No, but yeah,
he's like a fucking hero. He's come back and he's like, the cops are coming, everyone get in the back.
Yeah, so like Costa's everyone they're like going to the back garden.
And they're all just crouched down. There's like hundreds of people.
Yeah, the DJ's telling music and they were just like quietly. And like you can't hear anything. And then the police have turned up. This is the halfway point of the film.
Is it? Yeah, okay. Yeah, the police turn up. They do like a drive-by with a lamp thing, like a spotlight.
And he's talking to them and like Costa's been a bit of a dick to them because
he's kind of doing like a bit of lawyering.
And they're like, can we have a look around? And he's like, have you got a warrant? Like, we can just say no. He's like, are you not letting us in? He's like, well, I'm not letting you in. And also the law's not letting you in.
And I think when they leave, they're like, everyone's a lawyer now. But yeah, they say like, just don't make us come back.
It's the classic, like, keep the noise down.
Yeah. And then the neighbour across the road is just giving them two middle fingers as the police leave. And
Costa does it back.
Just doing it back.
And then they kind of go back and everyone's hunched around the pool and like,
and there's shots again of butts underwater as well. It's like...
And then they're like, let's go. And the music starts going, like, party restarts.
Yeah, they get the Pursuit of Happiness remix on at that point.
Yeah.
And at this point, when it does a big shot, I'm like, they've got other neighbors. Like, there's other houses that are nearer to the party than that guy. I don't know why nobody else is complaining.
I think it's because he's the one with the baby.
Yeah, but still, I mean, it was 11:30 when he came around the first time. So it's probably at least 12:30 now,
or midnight.
Well, so another. Yeah, there's quite a lot's happened since then because he went into the house. He was hiding in the house.
Yeah, I suppose
it could be later. Who knows?
It's hard to really tell.
Yeah,
but yeah, this is also when like shit starts going down.
Yeah,
like, properly.
So they're doing like the nitrous nos balloons. Like that's the first, apart from some weed stuff at the start. That's the first like druggy kind of thing. The skaters are doing tricks. They're coming down the roof.
Yeah, and then this is what the back window smashes.
One of the skaters like kind of their skateboard goes through like a porch window kind of thing.
And they're like,
and Thomas is like, fuck.
Costa's like, don't worry, I've got a guy who can come fix that.
Yeah, because the whole time earlier, I think it's maybe earlier on, maybe around this.
But they're worried about it being so messy. He's like, don't worry,
Costa's like, we've got the whole of tomorrow to fix it. And it's like, you have no fucking idea. Like, you're gonna feel like shit, and also, it takes so like, it's just you at this point it's gone past the point of no return.
Yeah,
whether they realize it or not,
they don't realize yet. But like it is, I think it probably got to that point when like Miles Teller turned up.
Probably, yeah. And then they're playing catch with the gnome. Miles Teller gets the baseball bat.
There's also before the guy swinging from the chandelier in the hallway.
The chandelier crashes
drops,
down,
smashes.
Yeah. And then they're playing catch with the gnome Santa Claus.
Miles Teller gets his baseball bat.
Teller gets the baseball bat, and then he like cracks it, and
they throw in the gnome, they smash it, and
all of these pills just fly out and they land everywhere, and everyone's like, and then Miles Teller thinks like it's ecstasy, because everyone just knows immediately.
It's like, that's why the guy was so desperate for his gnome.
Now we understand. Then everyone's getting fucking lit. I've written here. Everyone is just taking pills. And
they've all just found these pills in a gnome, and they're like, yeah, let's do them.
And I think Costa and JB like pick up a load, and they're like, oh, Thomas is going to freak out if he finds out about this.
Yeah.
Because that is like the next level of a big party.
And then it cuts to Thomas in the bathroom.
He's having his Blair Witch moment.
He's recording a message to his parents being like, this is
Dad,
way out of control.
Yeah, like, I'm sorry, kind of thing. And then the other boys turn up.
And he's like pissed off at them.
Yeah,
because
he sees they've done
you've
it
got
to
me in
him.
so much trouble.
Yeah. And then they bang on the door and he's like, fuck off. And they're like, it's us. He's like, I know, I'm pissed off at you. And then he's like, oh yeah. Oh, because he found out from the mustache guy that it was on Craigslist.
Yeah.
About a little bit before this.
Yeah, he's out of the garden. He's like, who are you? How did you know about this party? And he's like, oh, it's on Craigslist.
And that's how that's why he gets pissed off. He's like, fuck, one of them put it on
Craigslist.
Craigslist. Yeah, and then he's like, oh yeah, I put it on Craigslist. I also put out an email blast and put it on some radio stations. And Thomas is like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
And this is when he's very easily convinced because they just go, at this point, you might as well just enjoy it. And he's like, have this ecstasy pill. And he's like, okay.
And he gives half a pill to JB.
Oh, does JB have a half?
Apparently JB can't handle drugs as well.
I mean, if anything, because of body mass, you should actually take more, like not in a horrible way, but that is how it works. But yeah, and then he's like, "Oh, I'm gonna have a lie down before it kicks in," and then he's like, "No, you've got to come party."
Yeah, but like that, like convincing, like it's believable because he does have this roller coaster of and it's it is
his birthday. Like
they're like, "Fuck it, we can't do anything now."
At that point, even though it's past the point, it's not like irreparable. Like, if things didn't get any crazier,
if everyone went home at that point, they could.
Well, no, even if they stayed up for a couple more hours, well, I don't know, they've just taken pills, maybe however many more hours, but like as long as people were not being dicks about stuff, you could potentially retrieve it. So I can see why the attitude of like just go with it kind of thing. Like,
at least enjoy yourself. Like, there's nothing you can do at this point.
That's the thing. He might as well be on drugs, I suppose. is the kind of mindset.
Is the message of the film.
And then there's like a whole bit where everyone's like on pills.
Yeah, and
there's some quite like realistic looking stuff of people like, there's close-ups of like sweaty people and people.
Yeah, see, I think this is a bit where like they're actually just filming from the phones and they're having like an actual like between party bits. So I think they filmed from like 5 till 5. Overnight.
But didn't they do it over
over 5 days?
Yeah, right. Okay, yeah.
So it would be like a lot of it.
But were they drinking as well, or?
I think they did say a lot of them did just drink for a lot of it.
It doesn't really. I didn't see it anywhere specified. But I imagine with the actual party scenes that maybe don't have to involve the main cast as well. Because I imagine they did a lot of stuff without.
I think they did drink. Not obviously like getting hammered drunk.
No, but
they did at least
or like
drink.
weak beers or whatever.
Yeah, and then this is a bit where the three of them are at the DJ bit, and
Costa's like, "Get up here! I'm gonna say
he gets
happy
the
birthday."
whole party to sing, which is quite nice.
It's quite good. And at this point, like Thomas is like a bit like, "Ooh," like he's clearly like.
It kind of shows as well, like Costa's plan has worked.
Yeah. Because everyone's
they are now popular.
And then there's the weird bit where this guy, like, who's much older, he's like 30 something.
Give me the mic. I'm gonna.
He's like a weird, like, gross rapper guy,
and he just raps like he's just shitting on the three of them.
He just roasts them, doesn't he? He's like, "Oh, you got a little baby dick. You suck. Your house is shit." Like.
But then the whole crowd boo him,
and they boo, and then Costa like smacks him on the head, and he just like falls away and just isn't in it again.
And it's like that's kind of a sign that like, the crowd are all on their side now. Like they all like it.
Weird guy does a birthday rap. Oh, and then Wee Man is there.
It's not Wee Man.
Is it not?
No, it's not. It's the dwarf from Pirates of the Caribbean.
Oh yeah, that's
because I recognised him, but I was like, I don't think that's Wee Man.
No, it's not Wee Man. Right.
So I looked up and he's the dwarf from Pirates of the Caribbean.
I'm sure I'm not the first person to make that mistake.
But yeah, they put him in the oven.
Well, some guy's taking the piss and then he cracks an egg on one of their heads, which is a weird thing to do. And then they put him in the oven,
and he's in there for quite a while. Good job they didn't turn it on because well,
that's it. He's in there for ages. Then it goes to Kirby in the pool. She hasn't taken her top off.
No,
and I think he makes a joke about it, doesn't he, Thomas? Because he's like, but she's still wearing a very slim top, and there's lots of shots.
Actress Kirby Branton, who played said she was quite reluctant to do like nudity,
right?
But once. Kind of the director sat down with her and kind of explained what it was, and because it's not full nudity with her.
Yeah. I don't think there's any proper.
Not with her.
No, with anybody.
Oh no, but she's not even like topless at any point, is she? It's just kind of like a white wet.
It's like
top.
a wet t-shirt kind of situation.
So you kind of because also like he's just staring at her tits.
Yeah, and he says you've got nice knees or something. Yeah. It's like you've got your camera at her boob. But it makes sense for her character as well, doesn't it?
Yeah, so she was kind of talked into it, and she was like, "It's not over the top. It works for my character."
I mean, it's barely nude. It's not even nude.
For the comparison of the rest of the film as well.
Yeah, there's so many like.
It's nothing.
Yeah.
We got a bit coming up on what have already happened where you literally see a girl pissing.
Yeah. There was some trivia about that.
Apparently, actually happened because there
was a couple of things. One said that it was because there was no toilet. And another one was there was a couple of conflicting things.
One said that they may have had to pay her extra to use the footage.
Yeah, something like that.
But it's none of it's kind of
I mean, she doesn't look massively pissed off.
She looks like she's joking a lot.
Yeah, but she is pissing. Like,
literally pissing. Just like on the street.
Yeah, like behind a car or something like that. Then Wee Man, while Thomas is there's shouts of a little person, or they think they say a midget in the oven.
And
they let him out. Well, Thomas isn't there because he doesn't see it.
No. Oh yeah. So JB and Costa let him out, and he punched them both in the dick.
Just like, and then he just goes down the corridor just punching crotches, and there's like girls and guys just falling over.
And JB's like, well, like our balls are at his eye level.
And then there's the heart to heart on the grass where
they're all clearly like fucked.
And I realised like partway through this, they look so fucked. Like they're so pale.
Yeah,
they're so sweaty.
Like their eyes are just like falling back in their head.
And later on, or maybe around here, Thomas has got really realistic like bags under his eyes, like kind of yellowing skin. Like if you've ever been to like a festival, you know,
you see those kind of people.
Yeah, you've seen that kind of thing. Like. It's like I thought it was pretty.
Those people you just walk past on the street, you're just like, well, they've had like a ridiculous night.
They've been out big. And they're having a heart.
Costa's getting like all emotional. He says he loves them.
He's saying he's sorry for being like a bit of a dick.
Yeah, he's clearly just fucked.
And then we get another big song, Heads Will Roll remix. I've written very pilly here because there's lots of I don't know if that's the right word, but everyone's very like
everyone's like hugging and kissing.
Yeah, and there's lots of like making out. There's like 3 people kissing. There's like people with their hands down each other's trousers.
People just like everywhere.
Yeah. So many boobs I've written.
It's like on the brink of becoming an orgy.
Yeah, and it feels like it at times but it's all in different places, but it's cut together. I've got some quite cringy dancing mixed in. There's like people doing like weird like hip hop dance moves, like street dancing and stuff. And then Alexis comes up to Thomas.
Earlier, she's like, "I'll tell Thomas I'm looking for it."
Yeah, so she's clearly interested. I think just because it's his party and because it's his birthday. And he, despite the fact that he looks terrible and is probably stinks at this point.
She seems to have held it together
pretty
well.
Looks exactly the same, but I guess the impression is that she's also either on drugs or really drunk. Because
and she finds Thomas and takes him up to his room.
Yeah.
And like they start making out. Yeah, she like strips off, and they're like laying. And this whole bit, I was like, I know exactly what's going to happen.
Well,
here.
Yeah, totally. I know. Yeah, so the guy, one of the kids, is filming again. At this point, I'm thinking it's a bit. I know it's his birthday, but it is a bit weird that he was making out with the girl he likes in that bed, and then with this random girl, which is obviously it's his birthday.
He is fucked as well,
and he is fucked. And obviously, that's the point when Kirby happens to walk in,
like the most predictable part of the film.
Yeah, and I was thinking at first, like, why is she? She. I was thinking she almost doesn't have a right to be as upset as she was, but we don't really,
They have like kissed.
They have kissed, and I guess they were kind of breaching the point where they were maybe going to start, but. We didn't see the conversation. I feel like they could have had, this is probably one of the only nitpicks. Like, I feel like maybe after when they were at the pool or something, they could have had something about like, oh, maybe we should go out next week or something. Do you know? Something that made it seem less, because they seemed like they were friends who had like an awkward, not so awkward kiss or like make out or whatever. It almost felt a bit like she felt really betrayed, even though it hadn't quite been set up for that. Do you know what I mean? I kind of warmed to it, and I kind of forgot about the. But I think I was kind of surprised that she was so.
Yeah, like Thomas is about to like have sex with Alexis at this point when she walks in.
She's still got his jeans and shoes on, I think. But
yeah, I think she's in the process of taking them off. But
and then they go out to the street, and the street is getting like fucked
Kirby
up.
like storms out, and Thomas chases after her, and Alexis is like, "What the fuck? I'm the hot girl."
You see it like in the background, them arguing in the street. While Alexis is like upset. In the street. This is when I think the motorbike's going up and down, or maybe that's a little bit later.
Yeah, like the party spilled out onto the street,
like majorly, like the whole like
it's covering like 3 or 4 houses.
Yeah, like side. Either way, it's going back and forth. And at this point, I'm like, this is kind of making me a bit anxious now. At this point,
yeah,
because I remember because I watched it quite late. I think you watched it quite late last night as well.
I think we started around the same time.
Yeah, around 10:30, 11 or something like that.
Yeah,
but I was going to watch it with Amy when we ate dinner earlier in the evening, and she was like, I don't know, I feel like it's quite like an anxiety inducing film, and I was like, no, it's like a party film. Actually I kind of get it, because it gets quite stressful at times in between. I don't know if you felt the same.
Like when like shit's getting broken, like when the window smashed and the chandelier falls, I was like,
wait, because you see Thomas's reaction, and like the stuff with the dog and stuff as well. Like,
the dog.
Kind of empathize
I was constantly worried about the dog,
because after that bit there, he locks the dog in the dad's office, doesn't he? Which we didn't say earlier. So the dog is safe for the middle of the film.
So then he goes back to the office because. To kind of chill, and then the phone's called in from his dad, and he doesn't answer.
And there's a voicemail
saying, Dad leaves a message saying like he's been getting calls from the neighbours.
I'm sure they're over exaggerating,
but please can you call me back, sort of thing. And he's like, oh shit.
And then he climbs up on the roof.
Yeah, the three of them.
At first, I'm like, why? Like this? I was like, this is dark.
Yeah, I thought like he'd had that realization. Thought there's no way back from this. So there's no way back from
totally,
this.
because it's just there's shots of him standing on the roof, and there's some quite cool shots of the party and stuff.
Yeah, and there's people from the ground like looking up at him as well.
At that point there, before the other two turn up, and Dax, I suppose, or maybe he's filming.
No, he does turn up.
Yeah, just before that, it is like this moment where you're like,
it seems like he's about to jump off and kill himself.
He looks like he's having kind of suicidal thoughts. But then it kind of warms to Costa's like, look what we did. Like, we made it. And you see these shots. And although I think online it said it was like 500 extras, like they make it look like it's like.
He's then asked the next day, we'll get to, but he's asked how many people, and he's like 1,500, maybe 2,000.
Which is
it looks
about that, doesn't it? Yeah.
Because also you can't see in the house, and we know shit's going on in the house.
So
as well.
Outside, you've got like everywhere you can see in this massive round the pool and everything.
Yeah.
And this is when I've written the house is fucking massive. And then we get the chopper, don't we?
Yeah, helicopter flies above. It's like a news copter.
Yeah, and they're doing like a spotlight on Thomas.
And then someone in the crowd like spots Thomas,
and they all, because the spotlight went on him.
And they're like, Thomas,
and it was like Thomas, and then he starts warming back up.
And he turns and sticks his middle finger up to the helicopter,
and I'm like, he is gonna regret that.
Yeah,
like that's. Can you imagine? You that's what you're associated with forever.
Yeah, I had the thoughts of like, if my mum saw me do that
on the house,
like my mum
that's
would
what I mean. Like
weekend.
That's not a police chopper. That's the news chopper.
Yeah.
That shot is, I think they show it later as well.
Yeah.
That shot is like
on the news.
That's going to be immortalized forever.
Yeah. And then
he looks fucked as well.
Yeah.
He's so pale.
You can see the badge because the camera zooms it. You then see the news camera view.
Yeah.
And then he jumps.
He's just like YOLO, basically.
Yeah. And he jumps off the roof onto the bouncing. At first, I thought he was going to jump in the pool or something.
Yeah, like the pool is really far away.
I was like, and you're too high. You'll just whack the bottom.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, but he lands on it, and it looks like it fucks it up. But I think just the roof kind of gets broken.
Roof comes
because there's like a canvasy roof.
Yeah, and everyone's like, woo.
And then Costa's like, no way, I'm not going to do that. And JB talks to the camera, doesn't he?
Yeah, he's kind of like, this is my moment.
He says like, to my family, I think he says YouTube followers.
Yeah.
He's like, he's like, thank you.
And he's like, Costa, hold my glasses.
And then he jumps.
And
Costa's like, you're too fucking fat.
And he jumps. But like, at first, he's like, Dax, can I grab the camera? Because he grabs the camera that Dak's been carrying around.
Does he jump with the camera?
And jumps back, because I've written down, it's like the fucking Monster Project.
Oh, right,
This is how they would have shot that shot in the Monster Project.
That's true, yeah.
Like, so he jumps back, and you see it for a split second. They don't really use it.
No, that's
you see like the long shot.
I think I was writing notes as
it's
well.
literally a split second. You see the view from the camera.
It's a big camera as well. It's not a camcorder. It's like almost like a TV.
It's on
camera.
the shoulder sort of camera.
Yeah.
Yeah, he jumps, and there's kind of like a moment of silence.
Also, I feel like Dax wouldn't give him the AV or his personal or the AV club's camera, but whatever.
There's like a moment of silence, and then JB gets up, and there's a massive
and
cheer.
It's like, woo!
And then a shit ton of police start.
Well, before that, it goes into like a bit of like a gross bit. Oh no, that's a little bit later. But the mustache guy's like throwing up. The cops turn up, and there's like it turns into like
it goes
riot.
into onto the streets. People are throwing bottles at the cops. Everyone's chanting like, "Cops go home! Cops go home!"
I'm like, there's no chance the parents wouldn't come back early now.
Yeah.
Like you're not fixing this the next day. They'll be back in the morning.
The police then like reverse and like.
And then there's the police guy talking to the news, and he's like, "We're just gonna have to let it burn out." And they're all watching the news in the party, and they're just like, "Woo!"
And then you see the shot as well then of JB, and his little finger is like at a right angle, like pointing to the
side. Yeah. And then there's like loads of bits where this is when it's like very messy.
Yeah.
Like the dog is getting laid.
I've written dogs getting
I've written even the dog is getting laid.
Because he's like having sex with another dog, but he's also having sex with some passed out guy's face.
Yeah. And then the bully is passed out, and he's got his head shaved.
Yeah,
and like
Costa shaves like the top of his head, so he looks like Mr. Burns.
Yeah, and there's loads of like piss and vomit and stuff. There was a guy throwing up in the toilet, and everyone's just pissing on his head.
Yeah,
which is just like it gets kind of gross at this point.
And then they see on the news, someone getting into his dad's car.
Right,
and he's like,
just before that,
shit.
Dax has a Blair Witch moment as well.
Oh yeah,
and he's like
in a cupboard.
He's like, I've got a confession. This is the first party I've ever been to. I've seen like shit you wouldn't believe. He's like, I've got a feeling that this isn't like the norm. Kind of thing. He's like, this is not normal for a party. Yeah, and then because we missed a bit earlier where some guys were sitting on. Is it a Mercedes?
Yeah, some guys are just like leaning and chilling, and Thomas is like
really early in the party. He's like,
that's my dad's
take
car.
Care of my dad's car.
He'll kill me. He'll kill me if anything happens to it.
Yeah.
And then they see on the news somebody's got into his car.
Yeah, and there's a dude on the top, like holding on to the top.
Yeah, they run outside and it drives past them and into the pool.
Yeah, but
and
then it sinks and everyone's like, woo! And Thomas is just like, fuck.
Yeah, it's like, oh.
But I watched the behind the scenes of that.
Oh yeah.
And that's the stunt that they only did once. And a guy gets fucking hit by the car. Like a guy in the crowd. You can see it just gets fucking knocked away. And everyone has to just keep running and pretending that it didn't happen. And in the comments, everyone's like, yeah, like that dude got hit. And somebody is like commented and said, yeah, I worked on the film. Maybe they didn't. And they were like, we had to keep that shot in because it was the only take that we could use. So like, I'll show you afterwards and we can put it on the socials. But like, it's not super bad. It's not terrible.
No, I'm pretty sure it's put it X.
It's not terrible, but like he gets knocked to the side. Yeah. Pretty. And there's a dude.
just on the sort of thought, like maybe he wasn't hit by the car. Maybe it was Yuri Geller.
Yuri.
I think you just mentioned the socials just made me think of Yuri Geller from weeks ago.
That was a long time ago.
Yeah, that was Project Stargate, wasn't it? Like episode 5.
Yeah. And it turns out it was the dwarf guy was driving the car.
Yeah.
And he swims out and then starts punch. And then he punches
people.
Does he punch Thomas this time? I can't remember.
Because earlier Thomas was like, oh, I wish I'd seen you guys. It would have been so good.
And I've got like, now it's getting like stressful again because it kind of goes in waves. Just knocked my mic like up in the air.
Yeah, Sam's literally he's making waves with his hands as he said that. Just go up
smack
and
the mic up in the air. I don't think you should have heard that.
And then we get
then suddenly
fire.
Outside there's just fire. Like, what were you thinking at this point?
I was like, fuck. There's a guy like standing on top of a car with a flamethrower that shoots like literally like 30 meters.
I think that's what flamethrowers do.
Yeah.
Yeah, obviously, but I think that's you don't really think about how far they go.
No, we couldn't do it in this room.
No. Do you remember when Elon Musk released flamethrowers?
Oh, no.
They were like ones you could just buy.
Oh yeah.
They were like, this is not a weapon. Like, use it for this or whatever. Yeah. And they only went like, I think like what 2 meters.
They also say guns aren't a weapon.
Well, they are.
Yeah.
For hunting only. I hunt with a light machine gun.
Let's see.
AR-15s.
The best way to kill a deer.
You have to riddle them with bullets so you can really get that nice lead flavoring. Anyway, this dude is like, he's standing on cars and he's like fucking
and like he's setting trees on fire.
Like, they live in Pasadena, California. They've got like nice palm trees like lining the thing.
Yeah.
These are all on fire. Bushes are on fire. And he's got like a full protective
at
like
some
body
point
armor.
You see the neighbor with the baby who's like, that's my fucking tree, man.
Yeah, I think right at the end he's like, you're gonna pay me for that tree.
Yeah, and then the riot police.
Well, this guy, does he not pull up his mask, or is that?
Yeah, he pulls it up and it's revealed to be the guy that had the gnome.
Yeah,
and he's like, give me my fucking gnome back.
Give me my gnome. It's quite funny. He just keeps shouting that.
At first, I thought it was the neighbor.
And
I was like, that doesn't make sense. And then I thought it was the older mustachioed guy.
When you saw his face?
No, when he first turned up.
Okay, yeah.
And then he pulled off, and I was like, oh yeah, of course, it's the gnome guy who said.
They all kind of look like kind of look similar. They're all white guys with dark hair and different levels of facial hair.
Yeah, pretty much. But yeah, then right, and they're shooting like beanbags at him. He's just kind of like taking them
because he's got like a body armor. Like he's almost got like riot gear on himself, but like more extreme.
And I think some of the party people are like throwing bottles at him.
Yeah, I'm just thinking that poor family with the baby. Like honestly, at this point, like it's literally like a war zone.
Yeah,
it's like
and
a good
the shots from the news helicopter literally looks like a riot.
It's literally like a good like 100-meter stretch of road or whatever.
Yeah,
that's just like
on fire.
And
like he shoots at a car at one point. A whole car
like flies up in the air practically. And then Thomas like goes out, I guess because he's like fucks. And he's like, hey, we're sorry about your gnome or something.
Yeah.
And he's trying to like talk him down. And the guy is just like gonna literally roast him.
Yeah.
Thomas gets roasted for the second time. And then they like duck down.
Like
and there's
Costa
like a
grabs
shot,
him and pulls him back.
Where it just like shoots over.
And then the police like
they get like an actual gun.
and shoot like the pack on his back.
Yeah, like the gas tank thing. Like they like with a pistol. They've got like a crack
then
shot.
like blows up and he's on fire running around. And then it like blows up and I thought he had blown up. It turns out
we find out that he's okay.
He survived.
Like he's
somehow
still as well.
But I thought he'd like blown up.
And it's just like complete anarchy. The house is on fire from the flamethrower.
And this is the bit as well because like the whole film, like the soundtrack is like these dancey like pop tracks. And I was like, yeah. But at this point is when they start playing Metallica Battery.
Yes, yeah.
Because I started noticing the guitar and I was like, it's complete like change of vibe.
Yeah, it's a real change of vibe.
From like the party stuff to suddenly
like,
Metallica.
Remixes of pop or like rap songs.
And now you've got like mid-80s Metallica playing.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's like, this is like an actual riot now.
It is crazy. And then there's then the like I guess fire choppers like drop water
dropping water because the house on fire. Thomas runs in to save the dog.
Yeah, they're like, oh, the dog. And there's a funny bit where Costa's looking in like small kitchen drawers. And Thomas is like, he's not going to be in that drawer. And then they look in like a bigger drawer and he's in the drawer. And I don't think of that. I don't know if it was supposed to be a joke, but I thought that was quite funny. So they got the dog and they run out.
The police are like throwing like flashbangs.
Flashbangs. You see Miles Teller run off with a girl on his back.
Some guy like goes up to a horse and like pulls the policeman off the horse.
It's like a topless, like buff guy.
Yeah, you see him riding off.
I think that's the last shot. Just before that, the neighbor is shouting at him. And he's like, I think he's got a dressing gown on. He's got like a brown paper bag with like his bottle in it.
Yeah.
And he's like, you fucking owe me for that tree. He's like, you're going to fucking jail. And then...
and the two security guards run over and just tackle him.
The 2 kids just fucking tackle him, take him out. And then, we see the topless guy and then it kind of fades out to like news footage. And then it's like the first like break that we've had since the start.
And it cuts to they're on the bleachers.
It's like
the
6
a.m. They say it's 6 a.m.
Yeah.
And it's just the 4 of them.
And the security guys are there
and the security guards, so 6 of them there. And they're just like, holy shit.
Yeah. And the security guys are talking about what they're going to do about the neighbor. And they're like, we're going to go torch his house.
Yeah.
And they're like, just let it go.
And they leave it. And they're like, can we get paid? And Costa's like, people are in the house. You're not getting paid.
You're the worst security guard. To be fair, though, they did go above and beyond in a lot of ways.
But they were also terrible security guards.
And then the friends are like, "You're going to be okay, Thomas." And he's like, "Yeah, you guys just go home."
Go home. And then he's like, "Dax, you can go as well."
Yeah, and then he's like, "Your parents going to be worried." And he's like, "Oh no, I live alone." And it's like, okay.
And Dax kind of says like, "Thanks for the party, man. Like, I had fun."
Oh no, that's later on that you find out about Dax living alone. Actually,
oh no, he does say at that point.
Oh, he might say it again later.
Yeah.
So I'm like. I don't know how many of those random pills he took, but they're probably all feeling really shitty at this point.
Like, even like the alcohol, they're going to be like hungover.
Because it would definitely be the most all of those.
With those pills, like they're gonna.
I assume. We don't know. We said terrible. Ecstasy, but yeah, I'm sure they're gonna feel crappy.
And they go back and like the house is like fucked. It's like the top level is just like burnt down. There's like graffiti everywhere.
Oh no! Before that, we get some. Oh no! There's a bit where the news and the radio are talking about it, the morning radio, and one of the guys says, "We heard Kanye made an appearance."
Yeah.
And this is when his dad's there. Yeah, everything's fucked up. He's standing with his dad by the pool, is he?
Yeah.
And the dad's like disappointed, and
he's
they're
like,
both just staring.
Your college fund is gone. He's like,
college fund is gone.
He's like, do you know how much this is going to cost? And like. It doesn't say, but it's going to literally be hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Yeah, I mean, they're rich anyway, but still, like, and his dad is just being like, I didn't think you had it in you. And he's like, I'm sorry. And he's like, no, I literally didn't think you had it. I'm like, your dad's being quite a dick to you. And I thought he was going to turn around and tell his dad to fuck off.
But
then he's kind of impressed by it as well.
He's almost like, wow, I didn't realize my son could pull this off.
Yeah, because when he says how many people, 1,500, a couple of thousand, and I'm like, a couple of thousand? That's so many people.
And then Thomas kind of smiles and is like, it was awesome.
It was like, it was awesome, and he's like, you're still fucked, Thomas.
Yeah,
it's like, like I hadn't even considered the legal aspect, which comes up a bit later.
Yeah,
well, the next kind of bit. Then it's probably next day, a couple of days later. Oh, it would have been Monday probably at school.
Yeah, they go to school and he's in the.
He's driving the sorry. Somebody outside.
We got so much going on outside today.
Some woman going, oh, Papa.
Yeah.
Anyway, Thomas turns up in the like fucked up party.
It's
I've written partymobile. It's the minivan.
It's the minivan. It's like burnt. It's missing doors.
There's 2 doors missing, and it's like his dad's making him drive it as punishment. But I don't think you're allowed to drive a car without doors. Like I'm pretty sure that's illegal. Dax mentions about living alone at this bit, so I don't know if it's the second time.
Oh yeah, I think it's like, oh, what did your parents say?
Yeah, because they're all talking about that.
Yeah, no, it's that bit. You're right.
And then we get quite a good bit here where they're walking down the corridors, and it's like the inverse of the start.
Yeah, it's everyone's like, oh hey Thomas,
and then it's all that, and then it's like does everyone start chanting his name or something?
He gets into school and like everyone starts clapping,
and it plays that XX song that's like, what is it? Intro. It's quite like an atmospheric build up.
And it's all quite big until you then spot Kirby down the corridor.
Yeah, well, just before that, I've written, can you imagine if you missed that party?
Oh my God.
That would be the fucking worst thing in the world. Even if you only turned up for a bit and left when it got like mad.
Yeah.
Like, do you know what I mean? Like, if you were the kid who was like, oh no, I'm just going to stay at home.
Yeah.
Then it would be like
major FOMO.
What they had at the start, but times like 100,000.
Yeah. It's all anyone would talk about for the next like rest of the school year.
Yeah.
This Kirby like walks off and he kind of runs after her, and she's kind of like, I'm so like disappointed, like, gutted.
I still stand by what I was. I can totally see what they were trying to do, and I do see it, but I just think
I think like her betrayal, her feeling of betrayal comes from the fact that this has been building up for so long. They finally kiss. They're finally gonna do something, and then he goes off and fucks someone else.
Okay. I can see it. I just think the way that it was portrayed at the party was like quite like a casual, like
probably in her head she probably thought when she went out to the bedroom, if Alexis isn't in there, she's gonna fuck
Yeah,
Thomas.
yeah, okay, yeah. I can see that.
But yeah, then
She
they
forgives
kind
him
of
quite
make
quickly.
yeah, they kiss and make up.
He's like, if I'm still around, if I'm not like in prison or something, I think he says next year we can just have a birthday, just me and you.
Yeah, because they all kind of mention that there's various charges being pressed against them.
So they talk about that, I think, when they're talking about what their parents said. And Costa, it's quite like a stereotype because he's supposed to come from a Jewish family.
Yeah.
There's lots of talk of like, oh, I'm pretty sure my dad's lawyers can get me off and stuff.
Lawyers,
they talk about that a little bit later.
And then he's got like Jimmy Kimmel, like, it's like, oh, did you see that party?
I've written
in
Jimmy
Pasadena?
Fallon. Yeah, you're right. It's Jimmy Kimmel. Yeah, it is Jimmy Kimmel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
you suddenly made me doubt myself then.
No, because I just wrote Jimmy Fallon last night, but yeah, it was quite late.
Pretty much the same person.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's some other like famous news host that makes a joke.
Well, he says Jimmy Kimmel makes a bit of a dodgy joke about R. Kelly and teenage girls.
Oh yeah, he does.
And the thing that's a bit awkward about that is that there's an R. Kelly song on the soundtrack.
Yeah, he says something like, "Oh, did you guys see the footage of the party in Pasadena? I haven't seen that many
teenage boobs
since R. Kelly's party,
R. Kelly's music video."
Okay.
Party, but yeah. And it's like, also we now know that there's a lot of charges against R. Kelly.
I feel like R. Kelly's free hits on him now.
Well, that, but also, yeah. Maybe they should have used it on the soundtrack if there was.
Yeah, and then they have like a news report that interviewing people.
The Gnome guy survived. He's saying my Gnome again. He's like,
and you get the older guy,
the mustache guy,
and like his wife's being interviewed. She was like, it was horrendous. Somebody even threw up like on my front door, and he's just kind of standing there like,
and he looks like really hungover, and he's like. I thought that was one of my funny, one of my favorite like jokes that kind of went through.
Yeah, that guy, and then it kind of cuts, and
we get Daft Punk was playing at my house LCD sound system.
Yeah,
and then we do the classic teen movie ending where it does little freeze frames and tells you what.
I wrote all these down. I was right as I was.
We've got 4. Should we take it in turns?
Yeah, I literally paused the film, and as I was writing them down, I was like, I bet it sounds good and write this down as well. But I've already started now.
Consider that. But yeah.
So the first one is Thomas.
Yeah.
And it says Thomas was convicted of disturbing the peace, contributing to the delinquency of minors, and inciting a riot. He was also voted most likely to succeed by his classmates.
Actually, shall we say if we think they're fair charges or not?
I was thinking actually, and if they're accurate.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah.
So charged. He was convicted disturbing
the peace is fair, I suppose.
Yeah, contributing to the delinquency of minors. Yeah, and inciting a riot.
I mean,
it's his party.
It's his
party,
that's fair. But also I feel like there's a level of. I mean, who do you blame? You blame him.
And is it a full riot?
But also, surely, I mean, maybe body cams for police weren't such a big thing, but maybe target the people who are rioting. Maybe they did as well. But
overall, I'd say it's probably quite fair.
Yeah. I think that's fair.
Like, he obviously should get some blame, but it obviously got out of his control. He's a 17-year-old kid, and he got out of his control. I also do
think that with the video evidence they've got, I think they could probably get off. I mean, it says he was convicted of it, which I don't know if that's a jail sentence or if it's just.
It might just be like a suspended sentence or
juvenile. 17 is probably
community service or something.
Yeah, probably something like that. But you'd think that with the evidence they could show that other people, he was hesitant and stuff like that. You know what I mean? I feel like if they contributed parts,
it's still like his party. He still needs to have some sort of punishment.
Yeah, I suppose so. Yeah.
And be in debt for the rest of his life.
And then we've got Costa. It's thanks to his very expensive lawyer, Costa was acquitted of all charges. However, he is currently awaiting results on 3 separate paternity tests. So we don't know the charges, but I
think like it makes sense if he's got expensive lawyer. I kind of thought it was dumb that it said 3 paternity tests, because I was like, I got the impression that he wasn't very successful.
No, I think the impression we're supposed to get is that like everyone did get laid at the party, but that means he had sex with 3 different women.
And like, you never see him with any girls. So I
think he's dancing with quite a lot of girls.
When I saw that, I was like,
JB, I think is having sex, or like something like that at one point, because there's a bit where they're standing over him and he's like on the floor. Because the girl that he when he shotguns the beer and it goes on him, he's like, would you like some wine, milady? I've got a red or a white, a cabernet. And she kind of thinks it's like kind of cute, and then she's like, a beer. They shotgun beers. it's the same girl that he's with throughout.
Yeah.
So he is probably successful in that way. But
yeah, it's kind of like, okay.
It's a bit stupid. It might be 3 paternity tests doesn't mean he had sex with 3 women. It might be that 3 girls want to try and get his money because he's a rich guy. And maybe they all like, do you know what I mean? I don't think it implies that he had sex with all of them, but if he was really fucked up, they could have just put the blame on him. Maybe I don't know.
Yeah. So the next one was JB's parents convinced the court he was a special needs case and therefore unfit to stand trial.
Yeah.
The charges were dropped, but he was forced to ride the short bus for the remainder of high school. I looked up the short bus.
Yeah, I was just looking up now because it's like
a smaller bus. It's like a special. Because I suppose in America they don't have like special needs schools. They just go to the same high schools as the rest of them.
I think it depends. Yeah,
but yeah, the other short buses where the special needs kids.
It depends on what needs you have.
Yeah.
If it was severe physical needs, then I think you would go to a particular thing or have.
Yeah, the special needs kids get on the short bus, which is physically a shorter bus.
Yeah, a smaller version of a regular school bus that carries mentally challenged students to school is what
I thought I think
that's I mean, it's a bit of a cheap joke, but it's also kind of.
I was like, honestly, that's kind of like ripping on special needs kids for no reason.
Also, what is it supposed to be like? Why? Because he's a bit weird,
like he's fat.
Because he's fat. He looks like. I don't know.
Yeah, that was the worst of the 4. I felt.
I mean, the second bit is quite funny because it's like he got away with it, but he was punished. You know, I say punish. You know, he just had to ride with different kids. It's not really the end of the world.
And also, like, even if he is special needs, they've got video footage enough to show that, like, he's still
don't know.
Okay,
that's what I mean. I don't think
but he's still clearly
like. Yeah, he's not. Yeah.
It's not like
he's not got severe enough needs that he would need like care or anything.
Yeah,
like that.
It's not like special needs people can just commit a crime and get away with it.
Well, no, exactly. Yeah. It's very inaccurate, and it's
Yeah, and then the final one, which is my favorite one.
This is Dax's one. Dax is currently under investigation for the disappearance of his parents. He still lives alone.
Yeah,
it's like he was a weird kid, and he probably murdered his parents.
Yeah, I thought. Cool.
I kind of it's the kind of joke that's
just completely out of nowhere.
Probably was written at a later stage potentially, but very funny and kind of changes the vibe quite a bit.
Yeah.
And also, it's kind of like if he didn't like them, maybe would he? You know, he's quite maybe a danger. It's like be friends with the school shooter kind of memes. You know,
like he's.
It's like. Yeah, he is that kind of and then we get a little clip at the end where Costa has his goblet. He's being interviewed on the news, which is a rip of
that kid that did have the party.
So yeah, we can talk about this now because I've got a little bit of
I was going because I can remember if that must have been early. Was it an Australian kid?
So what I've got here. So in 2008, Melbourne teen Corey Worthington hosted a similar get together while his parents were on holiday. Ended up with 500 guests and a 20,000 Australian dollar fine from the police. So similar, smaller scale. There were police choppers, dogs. News sources said that teenagers threw bricks and bottles and jumped on parked cars and trashed letterboxes. When the police turned up, they were initially forced to retreat. So similar kind of thing because they were pelted with stuff. And he was interviewed on quite a lot of programs.
I imagine a lot of people have seen that clip on YouTube because it is hilarious. Because he's so like blasé.
Yeah, he's wearing like his big 2008 sunglasses. And like a weird hat.
And I remember the host was like, "Can you take your sunglasses off?"
I watched the clip, and he's like, "You need to apologize to your parents on news now." And he's like, "No."
Yeah.
He's like, "I'm cool."
And then I think they asked him like, "What are you gonna do now?" And he's like, "Go for a bigger party."
Yeah. And the thing is, like, what I remember really clearly is I remember the clip with the goblet or the chalice being from the news thing, and I thought that was like a homage, whatever. Homage to the real one, but I couldn't find any clips of the real guy with the goblet, so I think it just mixed them both up in my mind.
No, I reckon that it was a tribute to the original.
The whole thing is,
but the fact that Costa spends the entire party with the chalice in his hand.
Yeah,
they
yeah.
just add that in as part of his character design.
Yeah. I think that's right. But yeah, I think that's it. We've got some trivia. After. Do we normally do trivia before ratings?
Yeah,
I think so. To wrap it all up,
I wrote down those. Obviously, loads and loads of parties that happened after.
Yes.
As a result of this, I didn't write them all down, but I made note of some. So the film,
I remember seeing some Facebook events saying about Project X parties. So it was like a bit of like a type of.
So the film came out on the 2nd of March 2012. On the 9th of March, there was a Project M party that was going to be like 2,000 guests. Was cancelled by the police at 11 a.m. before it started.
Well, because it had been advertised.
Yeah. There was another party in, I think it's Houston, where the promoter was arrested and charged with, can I read my handwriting? $19,000 damages before the party had started.
That's a bit rich, isn't it?
I don't know.
Yeah.
There was another one that caused $100,000 damage that was directly inspired by the film.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
There was another party where someone got shot and died because someone brought a gun to the party.
There's a YouTube video where it's I think I didn't watch it, but there was one that was
someone like shot a gun and someone got hit by a stray bullet. There was also one in the Netherlands, in a small town called Haren, which was like literally like a small a few thousand people, where the guy who hosted it caused 1 million euros in damage. If there's a Wikipedia page on it, and you know how you look at like old battles, and it's got like it's literally like that, and it's got like the leaders on each side, and it's got like it's got like non-centralized leadership on the parties, and the other one's literally like Queen Beatrix, Prime Minister Mark Rucker. And it's like literally
as if it's set up like
listed like an actual battle. And the injuries at the bottom's like 15 injuries on each side.
So at one point there was two sides and everyone just started fighting?
No, but I think because it caused, there may have been a fight between police and people.
Right.
Because it caused so much damage, they listed it as, and because it's listed as battle, it's then got the Prime Minister and the Queen of the Netherlands listed.
Right.
I
thought they'd given like titles to the party goers.
No, it's literally the Queen of the Netherlands.
Interesting.
Who then abdicated the next year. I don't know if it's in any connection.
In shame, because she was at the party. That's why she's on the Wikipedia.
I just love the fact that it's got the party side as non-centralized leadership. As if it's like guerrilla warfare. That's like the main party stuff. Obviously, there's been so many. There's loads and loads where they've seen like people trying to replicate Project X and just causing a shit ton of damage.
I remember, it would have been that year when we were at uni, first of all. Seeing Facebook events. When Facebook events were like a big thing to invite people to. I mean, they might still be in places now, but we don't really do Facebook events anymore, do we?
No.
But and it'd be like Project X party and stuff, and it would have like the art from the film on it and stuff. I think there was one where the attending number was like in the like hundreds of thousands. It's like, this party's never going to happen because they're like, location to be announced and stuff. And it's like, this is like a promo for something, or, you know.
Yeah.
But
like a fire festival thing.
Oh yeah. Just free. You got any more?
I've got some bits, I've mentioned a lot of it during. The only one that the studio wanted to change the name of the film.
Yeah, I've got that here.
Which, fortunately for us, they didn't, because they said Project X sounded like a sci-fi film.
Yeah,
which makes sense considering a lot of the films we do.
There's two other Project X's, so we'll do a bit of a trilogy or a triptych of these.
Yeah, not.
Did you see what they wanted to rename it to?
Happy Birthday, Thomas Cobb.
Happy Birthday, Thomas Cobb, and apparently it was Todd Phillips. I've written the Joker, baby, who said that the title fit better as it's the kind of raunchy adult party.
Yeah, I think
it's almost like Project XXX is kind of what it is.
But that's my trip. Have you got stuff?
Yeah, I've got a couple of bits. The three leads, so everyone but Dax, they went on a weekend to Disneyland to get like a bit of bonding, which you can kind of see. They do seem like friends.
It's
you know,
kind of
that's
like
quite
the
genuine.
Saving Private Ryan when they all had to do military training except Matt Damon.
To get some like resentment going or
Yeah.
whatever. Dax Flame was once the 16th most subscribed YouTuber of all time.
Wow.
So he was a YouTuber and then I guess answered the open call or was recruited. Kind of makes sense being the camera guy as well, almost.
Yeah, when I saw his name, I thought his name Dax was funny. And then I saw his real name is Dax Flame. I was like, no fucking way.
The IMDb entry is really sad and quite savage as well, because it says, unfortunately, because you said he was in 21 Jump Street as well.
Yeah.
So that was a couple of years after this. It says, unfortunately, after the movie, his career in YouTube and acting fell off. And as of March 2020, he's working in Los Angeles, making ends meet in a sushi restaurant.
Oh, no.
Like, that's really sad. And it's also, I don't know if he's put that up there or like someone's like done a bit of research. Yeah, filmed over 5 weeks, I think you mentioned. There's a bit where the neighbor, when he comes round the first time, he says something about Oliver said something, which is Costa's real name.
Yeah.
And I remember hearing that in the film, and I thought that it was like one of the, someone else's name. And they just left it in there because I guess the take was a good one. But yeah, it's something I noticed, but it didn't really take me out of it, kind of thing.
No, I remember seeing that, but I didn't realize it at the time.
No, there's a couple of behind the scenes clips I watched where it's like little montages from behind the scenes. And there's a bit where there's quite a few bits where they're just dancing and you can't hear anything because they mute the clips. And there's two possible things. I thought it was maybe copyrighted songs they didn't have the rights to. So they play different ones while they were filming, which could be the case. But a YouTube commenter says that they knew an extra who worked on it. And apparently in some of those scenes, when they needed to have coordinated stuff happening, they just play bass beats. So people could dance in time to the beat, but they could still communicate over it because it's almost like a subwoofer kind of sound, which kind of makes sense. But on video, that would just sound awful. So it makes sense to mute it on the official behind the scenes. And then there's the one with the car where the guy gets hit by a car and they just had to keep it in. So I don't know if in the real shot, because it's in that wide shot as it approaches the pool, there's a guy on the left who just gets knocked back. And then you don't see him because he falls off camera in the behind the scenes. So I don't know if they edited him out, like scrubbed him out in the main shot or what. But it's definitely the same shot. And yeah, that was confirmed.
We'll have to stick that on after.
In the YouTube comments, people are like, I mean, the YouTube comments are not the most reliable resource, but if there's, out of all the people that were extras, word would get round about this kind of stuff.
Yeah, definitely.
But yeah, I think that's all the trivia I've got. So shall we do some ratings?
Yeah.
I'm going to have a quick think before you say anything. Yeah, I've
got
mine. I always feel like I get tainted by your views.
By my views?
I've got two in my head, so...
Okay,
not two.
Well, you can pick one of the numbers.
Okay, so I
preferably one between 1 and 10.
Yes. 25. I enjoyed it quite a lot. I think I enjoyed it more than a lot of the films we've watched. I don't know if it was a good film necessarily. It was better made than some we watched. Better made than a lot that we watched.
Yeah.
Modern, better paced. Characters were quite good. I'd say probably about a 7. I'm going to give it.
Right. Okay.
I was thinking 7 or 8 but 8 is quite strong.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's not for this podcast. I mean, it is because I don't think there's been any 8s yet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think maybe Project Power got an 8.
We might have done, yeah.
But yeah, do you know what? I did kind of enjoy it. I thought the main characters were a bit dicks, and like it is one of those like it's like a teen party. It's a bit like misogynistic and stuff.
Totally,
and,
there was a lot of stuff like that,
and like I didn't like the bits of the dog. And I realised after, I was like, oh yeah, this is a comedy. I don't think I've laughed.
Oh really? Not at all?
But maybe like a little smile here and there.
To be fair, I think I said to you before, to kind of get in the vibe a bit, I ended up having like a couple of beers while I was watching it. So I was kind of like, not dancing along, but I was
going mad for my lemon squash.
I was kind of getting in the mindset of the characters.
Yeah.
I didn't take any pills, unfortunately, but
you didn't jump into a swimming pool topless either?
You know what? It was so fucking hot last night. If there was a swimming pool, I would have probably jumped into it.
The sea's not far.
I just start running down at like midnight.
But no, I think I will give it a 6.
Okay.
Like
yeah.
I think I did enjoy it.
Yeah.
It wasn't amazing.
I mean, think about it as well with the other films as well. I know it's hard because we've done
I honestly don't remember most of the ratings I've given. We'll have to go back at
Yeah.
maybe sooner rather than later.
We'll start
and just note them down.
But also, it is quite fun doing them in the bubble of how we feel that day.
Yeah, because also like there are ratings.
Also, who gives a fuck?
When I was looking at trivia last night, I was on IMDb and I went to rate it and I was like, actually, I'm not going to rate it now. I'm going to wait until we've discussed it and then
you know what? I keep meaning to make a letterboxd account, but the thing that's stopping me is like all the films that I've already watched for the first time. I'm not going to go back and rate them, but I guess you have to start somewhere.
Yeah, see, I think I first set up my IMDb account like 10 years ago, and I went through and rated a load of films, and then since then,
I think I'd have to do it. I'd have to do it with initial.
I think I rated a couple of hundred films, and then every film I watched since then. Basically, every film I watch, I then go on IMDb and give it a rating.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it's been.
So I've probably rated like 1,000 films now.
I don't know if it's been clear from this at all, but generally, I'm pretty terrible at rating stuff, and I always just freeze up when someone asks me.
I have times gone back to my IMDb and I'm like, how have I rated that film higher than that? I'm going to bump that down a bit.
I think I'd have to do it as how I felt after. I mean, I could start at any point. I should probably just start it now.
Not right now. I'm going to do it now. We're kind of doing something right now.
But yeah. Anyway, so you say 7 for me, 6 for you.
Yeah, we'll keep our tradition of you going slightly higher than me.
I'm not sure if that was always the case.
I think it's a lot of the case.
But this time I went first, so you copied me.
I think the only one I've rated higher than you was Monster Project.
Yeah, Monster Project was fine.
I
thought Monster Project was much worse than Science Project.
No. Monster Project was far better than Science Project.
Yeah, I don't know if it was far better.
It was far better.
You gave it a 2.
Yeah. I fucking hated that film.
Yeah, I know you did. I didn't hate it that much. Anyway. So, personal projects. You want to go first, Lewis?
Yeah, so I've been watching Star Trek Christina, but that's a whole nother that's his own thing. I've been watching a load of documentaries on Netflix. There's so many documentaries.
Hey guys, you should get Netflix. There's so many documentaries.
But I keep watching like the murder ones.
Oh really? Okay, so it's never really been my cup of tea.
It's never really my thing.
I feel like I could get into it though.
Yeah, like I watched one on the Yorkshire Ripper because obviously
that was quite recent.
It's like the late 70s, but
no, so I meant the documentary is quite a recent one.
But the thing, he's the sort of guy that like everyone in Britain knows of. We've all heard of him.
Yeah.
But obviously he didn't. And like I didn't realize how fucking like inept the police were.
Yeah, I remember hearing there's stories about people calling in.
Yeah, like
pretending to be him, and they wasted.
They spent like £1 million over a year playing this video of this guy with a Sunderland accent to everyone in Yorkshire, being like, "Do you recognise this voice?"
Right.
Everyone, and turned out to be a hoax call. And like survivors had been like, yeah, he sounded like he was from Yorkshire.
Right. Okay,
and there'd also been a thing where like they'd missed a load of survivors that didn't connect with the case because they said that he attacked prostitutes.
Right.
But he actually just attacked women who were on their own.
And it turned
so
out
all like these women that had been killed that weren't prostitutes, they were like, oh, he must have mistaken them. And then women that survived that weren't prostitutes, they were like, oh, it must have been someone different.
So there was masses of cases that they could have connected together.
There was like, I think like another 10 cases they didn't include of women who weren't prostitutes they didn't include. And it's like, these bloody police. Yeah, so like, it's kind of fucked up. I also didn't realise that like, because he done this stuff in like the 70s.
Yeah.
He was treated for COVID, which seems so like,
you know what?
wild.
I think I did hear about that.
Yeah, because he died
news,
last year of like a heart attack. But it seems so mental, like this guy kind of overlaps with COVID.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then the one I've been watching at the moment, I've got one because a lot of them are only like 3-4 episodes.
Right, okay.
So you can just breeze through them.
Are they normally about 40 minutes an hour?
Yeah. So I've got one left on another one called Evil Genius.
That's about there was a episode of a podcast about that, I think, that we listened to.
Oh, was there?
Yeah, it's the pizza delivery guy and the bomb and stuff like that, yeah.
Yeah, and just like the people that are involved who are just like
Yeah, I knew people
absolutely fucking mental.
I remember, yeah, when that came out, people I know watching it. Yeah, it
Yeah,
looks interesting.
it's quite good.
because she had a really like gross house and stuff, didn't she? The woman,
Yeah,
like loads of like
and really
molded
like
stuff and like loads of
manipulative.
like excrement around and stuff. It's that kind of
Yeah,
thing, isn't it?
but
Yeah.
yeah, so I kind of got really into those kind of
Okay, cool. I mean,
documentaries.
I feel like it's a yeah,
It's just quite
it's an
interesting.
untapped kind of area for me.
Yeah, same as me. That's why I can't remember the first one I
Because
watched.
Making a Murderer was the one that kind of
Yeah, but I
breached
never
it.
saw that.
No, that's well. You only watched Tiger King fairly recently,
Yeah,
and that's very much in that vein, but without the murder, isn't it? It's
yeah.
kind of true crime.
Or there is a murder of Carol
Well,
Baskin's ex-husband.
it is true crime, but less focused
Yeah,
on the crime, more on the characters, isn't it? It's a very similar
yeah. I
kind
think
of
the other
thing.
one I watched was Mrs. Wilson, which
I don't know
isn't
that
a
one.
documentary, but it's about based on true story.
Right,
You know the
okay.
actress Ruth Wilson,
Uh,
she was in His Dark
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Materials.
yeah, 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 yeah.
Basically, her grandfather was like a serial polygamist.
Right,
It's
okay,
about him. So like in the war, he worked like decoding stuff from the Nazis.
okay. What,
Uh,
like Bletchley Park or not
Not
quite?
Bletchley
No,
Park. I think
no.
it's just
Just
writing
more
down
kind of
notes.
general coding,
Yeah.
decoding.
And he was fired for like exaggerating stuff.
Right.
Turns out that like at one point, and then he just like kept marrying people. He went to India for a bit. At one point in like the late 50s, he had 4 marriages ongoing, keeping them secret from all each other, having like a few kids with each one of
It's like,
them.
oh, honey, I'm
And
just
then
going on holiday.
and then he died, and they all find out about each other, and it's like, how the fuck did he keep up that secret for like?
So she's got a massive family,
Yeah,
basically.
they have a picture of them at the end, and there's like 28 of them that are like directly descended from
So
him.
is it about her? Is she?
Yeah, so she plays her own grandmother,
Ah,
who
interesting.
was he's got a guy's called Alexander Wilson.
So was that
He
his first wife, or?
she was the third wife.
Oh, right.
So he
Okay.
married in like just after World War One, then went and worked in India as like a spy and married someone there. And then during the war, she worked at the same office as him, married
Right.
her, and then after the war, he married someone else. And it was like,
Wow.
and like yeah, like they only found out each other when he died because his first wife turned up to her door and was like, "I've come to collect his stuff. I know this is one of his houses."
Right.
And she's like, "Sorry, who are you?" And he's like, "I'm his wife."
So
And
did
she's like,
she?
"No, I'm his wife."
Oh, yeah. So she just thought it was another place that he was staying.
Yeah,
Right.
but like
Like a workhouse or
there's
something
also a
like
thing
that.
where
Yeah.
like because he was in contact with this, she had like a contact woman from MI5.
Yeah.
And he basically told them all that he was still doing spy work. He was in and out in prison, and he was like, "Oh, I've been sent in here." Like
Oh, so he
it,
was like a serial liar as well.
yeah.
Was
So
it
like in the newspapers, it's
pathological?
gonna say that I've been ruined, but actually I'm doing undercover work in the prisons. That's all
Right.
a lie. That's all bullshit.
Wow. So he's like a proper con man then,
Yeah, and
really.
like
Yeah.
but only to like his wives, and she's like living in poverty. And she's like, when are they gonna pay you properly? He's like, oh, I'm getting it sorted. I'm getting it sorted.
Like my
And
cover is
like
that I've got a poor
whenever
family.
she got suspicious, he was like, follow me and see me with the contact from MI5.
Yeah.
After he dies, she goes to see her, and it's like, yeah, we did keep eyes on him because like he was a serial bullshitter, and
Oh, so
like
that was actually a person from MI5.
MI5, who he had worked with when he was a spy.
Right.
But they were like,
Okay.
after we
Yeah.
fired him during the war, we had to keep an eye on him because
He's a bit of a loose cannon.
yeah, and like he's got such good like forgery skills, like forging divorce papers.
So do you think he kind of had he kind of missed being like a sneaky boy?
Yeah,
was like, I'm just gonna
I
carry
think
it on.
he was also
kind of got a
like
bit addicted to like the lying side of things.
apparently when he was
maybe.
younger as well, he was always got a nervous like kid, but
Yeah.
calmed himself by writing fiction.
Right. Okay.
So he wrote like a bunch of spy novels. So I think growing up, like he continued by like living the fiction sort of thing.
Yeah. So then, even when he like retired as a spy, he kind of almost
Like
carried on with
yeah,
it as
and
well.
wanted to continue on creating fiction.
Yeah. So he just
it's like
wove fiction in his real
I think
life.
he ended up having like 9 kids from 4 women.
It's not as many as you could have with.
No, I think one of them thought he was having an affair and left him.
Yeah, I'd imagine somebody would get suspicious.
But like the first, third, and fourth one had no idea.
He'd probably pick people that were maybe a little bit less switched on with stuff.
Because he did work as a spy. He kind of had that like, don't ask me about my work. I'm going to be away for months at a time. Don't ask any questions because.
And if you just do that on rotation,
yeah,
then you just go between 4 different lives.
And because he was a spy as well, his wives had to sign a secrecy piece of paper.
Yeah,
he was a master forger, so he could then just forge that piece of paper again and be like, "You need to sign this to say you're going to keep a secret."
Makes sense.
It's like, it's just fucking mental though. Like
that sounds like a good one.
I couldn't think. It's like 3 episodes. It was. I think it's a BBC thing.
You know what? I think that kind of thing. So that interests me more.
Yeah.
I think it's just something about the Well,
no, carry on.
I was just gonna say I find something a bit gross about the whole like murder thing.
Yeah,
and I think it was with Making a Murderer when that became so popular. And I understand like the kind of morbid curiosity, like grisly fascination with stuff. And like I do like stuff like that, but there's something a bit like.
I think
like sadness porn about it. It's like, oh, this is so gross.
Interests me isn't like the gross murder. It's like the police investigation, like them picking up clues.
And I think that's probably the same for a lot of people. But I always viewed it as like, do you know what I mean? Like there's documentaries about Madeleine McCann that came out, and it's like I know a lot of that is there was last 3 or 4 year ones, and I know a lot of that is probably about the investigation, but just something about it's like. It's almost profiting off misery. Something doesn't quite sit right with me. But I think at the same time, if I got into one that was kind of done well, I think I would probably really enjoy it.
And these ones, like I've always quite done well in the fact that like the Yorkshire Rip one, like you never see him until he's arrested. So you're kind of in the same position as the police following it.
Yeah, I think part of me is just being like a contrarian about it. Like it's like, oh, if everyone really likes it, it must be like schlocky and terrible.
You're talking to a guy who took a year to watch Tiger King after literally everyone in the world watched Tiger King.
Yeah. So
so what have you been up to?
I was just scrambling to try and think of something. I can't really think of too much. I've been watching Marvel's What If. I know that you're a couple episodes behind, so we'll save that for when we're up to date. I watched Layer Cake last night.
Oh yeah, with
the
Daniel
Craig film, which is very, very Guy Ritchie, but is directed by Matthew Vaughn, not Guy Ritchie, who did produce, I think, Lock, Stock and Snatch. So kind of makes sense.
Lock, Stock and Snatch is that the sequel? Stock and Snatch,
that's the sequel to both of them at once. Good film.
Glass.
Good film.
Nice. Yeah, I've never actually seen it. Like,
have you seen The Gentleman?
No.
They're very similar films.
Okay. It's like Lock, Stock. Is it Lock, Stock and Snatch where people are like they're like the same film? It's whatever one you watch first you like more.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, I mean, I think The Gentleman's probably more of a like. Gentleman's a bit more like polished, a bit more Hollywood for Guy Ritchie.
Right.
I mean, Matthew McConaughey's in it as well, so it's got those kind of American roots. And
I always think it's weird thinking of like pre-Bond Daniel Craig.
Yeah, he looks a lot thinner, but you can see where they got why they chose him.
I remember when he was cast, there was the whole like blonde Bond.
Yeah.
What?
Like, there's so many headlines. They were like, "We fucking got it, boys! Blonde Bond."
How can James Bond be blonde? And now it's like it's Daniel Craig.
There's also like
and to a lot of people, when they think James Bond, they think Daniel Craig.
Totally, yeah. I think I probably got a bit of a mixture for me, but if you think
the last non-Daniel Craig Bond film was like 20 years ago now, so
it would have been because when was Casino Royale? Because this was 2004,
2006. I think.
So it would have been probably his next role. And there's some bits. We were watching it, and there's a bit when he first gets a gun because he's anti-gun in a lot of the film. And he kind of comes out the door and he's holding it very James Bondish. He's wearing like a t-shirt or whatever, but it's very much like, oh yeah, I can see what they were thinking. And later on, he's got like a couple of different suits on. He looks very like the suiting is a bit like it's almost like 90s suits where they look a bit like baggy and stuff. In Layer Cake, yeah. But like you can see how producers and casting people would watch it and be like, this guy has
because now like he is completely believable as Bond, and he's a really good Bond.
Yeah. And he's quite a similar character. He's a bit more of like a pushover in this, but I don't know. He's like a cocaine dealer but like a bit higher up. Like he's the supply, not the supply, somewhere in the middle.
Right.
And he's planning on retiring, which
Mate,
obviously
you're making me want to watch Casino Royale now.
No, watch this film. And he's planning on getting out. Tom Hardy's in it. He's very young Tom Hardy.
Oh,
He's
I was talking
got
about
a completely unshaven face and his little fish lips.
right. I was talking about young Tom Hardy the other day because he is the villain in Star Trek.
That's
Nemesis.
Right. Yes. Yeah.
And like I was saying to Christina, it's so weird seeing Tom Hardy against like Jean-Luc Picard Star Trek because like that started in the 80s.
It's like two different eras.
Yeah, and it's like, and he's like bald in that. And like it's like, wait, no, Tom Hardy wasn't around at the same time as the next generation of Star Trek.
When was that? That was late 90s.
That was 2002, I think.
Oh, okay, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
So it was like
because he was. I think
it was
he
like 14 years after the next generation. Stuff. He was also. Do you know he released like a rapping album? Like really small, didn't go anywhere.
Yeah, I know there's
you can like find the tracks and stuff.
I've seen some old like MySpace photos where he's from that era. He's very questionable fashion, haircuts, tattoos.
Yeah.
Like him and like his girlfriend, like I don't know, like drinking or smoking or something. But yeah, he looks very different to now. I mean, you can tell it's the same person. I think he had some substance abuse problems as well. I think he was involved with maybe crack or something at some point.
Jesus.
Some pretty heavy stuff. Yeah. So I think that might have been between then and when he made it big. So he had like a couple of years. I'm not sure, but yeah. Anyway, yeah. And then Daniel Craig gets involved in bigger up the chain people. It's very Guy Ritchie. Lots of stuff. People in different countries.
Yeah. Stuff
in Europe, and then someone's trying to get some stuff back, some products of stuff, and yeah. But it all comes together well. If you're gonna watch That Old Gentleman, I'd probably say Gentleman because it's a bit more like modern and
one I've heard
paced.
More of, and
I mean they're both very good films. The initial plot is quite similar because they're both part of organized crime and they both get tasked with finding a really rich guy's daughter, and that's kind of what starts the plot off. And there's similarities throughout. Bodies in freezers and stuff, but it's more tropes of the genre rather than
it's kind of interesting when you look at kind of earlier stuff like that. Like, I'm not saying this is early, when you see like the tropes but before they were tropes, sort of thing, and like you kind of like, oh, it's like kind of when we watched Project A, the Jackie Chan film. It's all like, oh, we've seen all this before, but actually this is the first time.
Well, that's the thing, and actually on that point I watched Rush Hour 2, which is one of his more modern films, 2002 or something like that, and partly because it's directed by an American company. I'm sure the Jackie Chan stunt team are involved, but it's the action is nowhere near as good as Project A, like genuinely, like.
Wow.
So
there you go.
Anyway,
watch Project A and listen to the Project A podcast.
Yeah, you gotta watch that first and then listen to it afterwards, or
just don't bother watching it. Just listen to the episode.
We should just start doing commentaries instead, as well.
As well, like, as
we'll do two recordings. We'll record one. Anyway, yeah, cool. But that's it for me, I think. So I think we'll round it up. So reviews, Lewis.
Yeah, so like the best way for us to get our name out there, get more listeners, and to see what you think of the pod is to do a review.
Yeah.
You can do it on various things like Apple and whatever
iTunes,
podcasting medium you use.
Most of them. I think Spotify doesn't have a review thing, but most other ones I think do.
It'd just be good to hear what you have to say, whether good or bad.
I mean, ideally for the algorithms and all that, give us the 5 stars if you like. Then write your criticisms in afterwards.
If there's one thing about our pod that you don't quite like, we're not going to know what it is unless you tell us.
To hear. And in a similar vein, if you want to reach us with any direct messages, if you don't feel confident enough to give us a rating or maybe haven't listened to us enough, you can send us an email at theprojectprojectpod@gmail.com. On Facebook and Instagram, it's theprojectprojectpod. On Twitter is @thatprojectpod, and Reddit is r/the_project. And I recently made my own Reddit account for the for the podcast.
Whoa.
We both got individual podcast Reddit accounts, so we can both
contribute,
comment,
discuss,
comment at different points.
Yeah.
So we just need some of you guys to just jump in there, and we can start upvoting your comments and all that kind of thing. But yeah, no. Anything else that you want to add, Lewis?
No, I think that's just about it. So thanks for listening.
Yeah, thank you, and goodbye.